Yeah, from Mortgage One Studios here in Yuma, Arizona. Russ Clark live with you, as well as Dean Weingart. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Must be Tuesday morning. Let me start off with a disclaimer. All content presented in the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guest commentators and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for informational entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official position of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studio does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements made by third parties during programming. We got that done.
Yes.
I'm well on my way. We got George calling in this morning. Not yet, but he's coming. He'll be calling in very shortly. He's at a food convention, he loves food conventions.
Well, it sound like, if you're like a lobbyist or whatever,
Yeah,
and you go to a food convention, they're going to give you a lot of food.
Yeah, there's samples too that he takes home.
Exactly.
And he takes some back to my fact checker Edward and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it's gourmet chocolate bars, stuff.
Well,
like
I mean,
that.
yes. I mean, if that's what you are selling, you want somebody who has connections to try them.
Right. And this is Carl. All right, Carl, good morning. Uh-oh. Oh, I don't have you on. Hey, Carl, I got you up now.
Are we there now?
We're there now. It's on my end. And if George calls, I'm going to have to hang up on you. Is that all right?
No, I can always call back, can I?
Yeah. Yeah, you can call back. Not him. You can call back.
I know.
I'm not gonna mess with George. I mean, the repercussions are terrible. You're easier to deal with.
No. No, hey, that's what makes everything work so good.
There you go.
We work good together. But anyway, I guess my 2 cents is going to be today, and I think we can talk politics right now.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite mayors. I'm a longtime resident, and Mayor Nichols is doing me a fantastic job in running our city.
Right.
So I'm having a hard time where I see somebody. I'm just seeing you as a resident and see this stuff on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
I see Mayor Nichols where I see his signs where I can read them, and then I have another sign. Sometimes on both sides, yard signs that go in the yard are right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I really start looking, it is Carlos's sign putting out there.
Yeah.
But what that's really telling me is this guy has not a clue what the hell he's doing, because what he does, he just tries to take the, your eye, because the signs are busy out there.
A lot of them are.
And so, yeah. And so a lot of these signs, you don't even see them when you go by.
Right.
And then when you start attaching your sign to somebody else's sign, that's also a sign that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
No.
So
he's a new guy, Carlos, new to that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to talk to you later. I'll get you back on. I know you haven't finished. I'll get you back, but I got to take George. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. Let me see, George. How are you, sir? Oh, wait a minute, George. Don't say anything, because I got to start the recorder. If you say something, you won't be recorded. Let me see. I got it. There you go. All right, George, you're being recorded.
All right.
Yeah.
Liana.
Salama.
Come on, George, get it right. It's Solana. Liana Solana.
Anyway, who is the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Public Relations for the Specialty Food Association.
Yeah.
And we are at the Summer Fancy Food Show. We had her on during the Winter Fancy Food Show in San Diego.
Right.
But this thing dwarfs it by comparison. It's absolutely insane how many people are here. More than 32,000 attendees and exhibitors. And the exhibitors are over 2,000.
Yeah, more than 2,000
I'd
booths.
say there's got to be 2,500.
There may be, yeah.
Because I've walked this floor, and every time you get to an area, you all of a sudden look up and go, there's another room full of stuff. And then you have upstairs in the river thing that's new this year. What is it?
Yeah. So what we've done is we have created a program internally that helps emerging makers kind of dip a toe into the water of the trade show world in a less expensive and less committed way. So there's a bunch of tabletops up there in the SFA Spark Pavilion that are designed to be a lower cost of entry way for emerging brands to come in. So they can come in for one day, they can come in for 3 days, and just give them a chance to kind of see what the exhibiting life is all about.
Well, how I found the Specialty Food Association was one of my bigger clients, Melissa's, who goes to the old Produce Marketing Association and the International Fresh Produce Association. Frank said, look, you've got to go to this in Las Vegas. And it just happened to be at the same time as the res, which is for the Indian tribe reservations.
Huh?
And so the res ended on Saturday and you guys started on Sunday. And it was just I'd never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
I shipped home 3 bags yesterday. And,
2 really.
yeah, on FedEx, and we've got and I know what the last day is like. That's why I shipped it home yesterday.
Yeah.
But we've been walking, and you can't. Russ, you want steps? I got steps for you.
No, I don't need that many steps. I'm good.
I mean, I was sitting there after the first day talking to a couple of people, and I said, I don't think there's anything I have that doesn't hurt.
All right, buddy.
And then, unbelievable, but products, from everything from caviar to pâtés to.
How about something I would like, though, George? Let's get away from that.
Oh, they had chocolates.
Chocolates. Okay, there we go. I want to go into the desserts, George. Yeah.
Oh gosh, there was a whole section of frozen desserts that was just insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they had competitions on Monday and Tuesday of some great chefs. I've got pictures of that.
Yeah.
And I put that out on Twitter.
Nice.
Or X or whatever it's called this
now,
week.
Just for the listeners, I just want to make sure they understand that this specialty food show, this is really set up for vendors too. It's for vendors to come and show their products.
It is, yeah. So it's all manufacturing brands and small makers, and they show their products here to a mix of retail buyers, food service buyers, distributors, and importers.
And George.
So they're really here, trying to get out into the broader marketplace, and that's how it gets out to the consumer, obviously.
Well, I actually got a list of things that somebody in Brisbane suggested I pick up while we were here. So
the reason the vendors want to be there is exposure. They're trying to get out there and find new markets, and then and they pay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've got people, I was just talking with a group yesterday, Marcus Samuelson's new sauce line, Mercado by Marcus. I mean, they did a deal on the show floor yesterday. They're going to be in a bunch of stores. So they, there's the buyers walking around here looking for products to put on their shelves, and the brands are all looking to talk to them about being the ones that get up there.
But I also talked to some of the people from Malaysia, some people from Pakistan, some people from other things that were actually asked me for distributors in the United States.
Yeah.
And right now, because of the tariffs, one of the great things is distributors are doing really, really well. And you can go from one distributor to another who will distribute your product, and it's in their line.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is this place is packed with buyers walking around, and they're all pre-screened basically because of the fact my photographer is in fashion sales, and she was just here 6 months ago for a fashion thing, and she said they didn't have 1/100th of the buyers walking around on the floor. And then when I said, well, how did they screen them? And she goes, anybody can come if they say they're a buyer.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lot different. The people that are on the floor here have skin in the game.
1000%. And our team does such a great job. I mean, it is no small feat, right? You're talking about 32,000 people, and they review people, and they go online, and they make sure that they're qualified, and they make sure that they're the people who have the authority to make purchases, which,
What?
you know, as a nonprofit, our whole point is to give value to our members, right? So in doing that, it doesn't help them if we've got a bunch of people walking the show floor who are just kind of, you know, kicking the tires. We need to have the people here who are making decisions.
Well, I got to know at
Yeah,
every convention like this, there's always going to be some hotter items other than, you know, some not so. Some where the lines are wrapping around, people want to get in and see what's going on. What's your hot items right now?
So we've got a few things going on. We've got actually our show partner this year is Saudi dates, and dates are huge right now. They're used for everything. You would think that, you know, okay, dates, you know, yes, delicious. They are ingredients for everything from, like, you know, syrups to peanut butter to different kinds of actual, you know, regular butters. But as a sweetener, as a better, you know, as a better form of sweetener, they're huge right now.
Well,
So there's a lot
Yuma,
going on.
Arizona's right in the middle of Medical date
Dates?
area.
So
yeah.
more dates are being processed as sweeteners, though?
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And you're seeing it in syrups. I saw instead of maple syrup,
Exactly.
it's date syrup.
Yep.
And it's got a different sugar in it that is better for you.
Exactly, because it's got
And it's high
fiber.
oxidant too. And it, you know, lipidine is the other thing that it is in dates that you don't find in other things.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to see when every single time you see a product, the high protein is again this
All over the place.
this year, every single place. And, you know, and I love the protein drinks myself. I can't eat breakfast because I'm in a hurry.
Watch that waistline though, George. Watch it.
Yeah.
Well, it does all amazing things, you know. So, you
Well,
know.
of course.
Well, and you know what's great about what we've got on the show floor here when it comes to things like protein. So, you know, you're seeing the big CPG companies, you know, pack protein into things like Pop-Tarts and whatnot, you know,
really?
and that's protein that, you know, they're putting powder in the mix or, you know, cracking a capsule into what they're making. The folks here are really focused on protein coming from really natural sources, you know, so you get a lot of things that people are using cottage cheese in all kinds of crazy ways. You know, I know it's been around for a while, but now people are using it as a base for ice cream and for yogurt and for other ways to get more protein into it, but in a really authentic and natural way.
Well, yesterday I saw something that I hadn't seen since I was a kid. You know, if you don't remember, the Jell-O molds was a big thing during the 60s. You were too young for this, but Better Homes and Gardens, and you know,
with
that kind of stuff.
Hot dog pieces.
Well, no, it was. My mom always put it with pineapple or fruit cocktail with and then jacked it up with cottage cheese.
Did they really?
And that made it. The texture was really, really neat. Put it on a bed of lettuce, and I saw 2 of those molds yesterday, and actually went over and they were cutting them up and giving slices of that out on the floor. One of the cottage cheese people here. Yeah, you see products being used in ways that you never thought that they were being used in.
Yeah.
Give me an example, George. Come on, man.
Just, you know, not just adding chocolate to something, but adding grape tomatoes into the mix, so that it was.
We hide the vegetables in our kids' food,
right? But it's not even hiding it. They're telling you that this is better for you, and it tastes.
But they're doing it in commercially available products. I mean, the products they want to put on a shelf.
Yeah, but not only that, but I mean, I saw the mackerel and the anchovy and the other canned fish guys, the canned meats, and they were showing how to put that into a thing. You got to remember, same kind of a thing that happened with San Diego was where they started the canned tuna idea, which was that they could steam it and make it to where it was real flaky, like chicken. And that's where, you know, it was originally called breast of chicken tuna.
Is that right?
Before it turned to chicken of the sea, because people got the chicken association went after them on that. But chicken of the sea was one of the big ones. And so the thing is that these are talking about super high protein at a very, very reasonable cost.
Well, and I think what's really interesting is how adventurous the consumer is right now. I mean, because you talk about tin fish, right? And you have companies out there who are doing really high-end premium tin fish. But we're seeing explosion in tin fish like sardines, right? Where when I was growing up, there's sardines. Are you kidding me? Like, I wouldn't go anywhere near them. People are really adventurous and they're looking for different types of eating experiences.
Well, anchovies, you're seeing them on the thing again. And Caesar salads, I have to ask, can I not have the fish on it? But you're seeing a lot of different things that are going on that the pâtés. There's not just goose and liver pâtés, but there's a number of tofu pâtés and stuff like that if you don't want to go in that direction for the vegan and the vegetarian people. I actually had some vegan marshmallows yesterday. And they tasted just like regular marshmallows, So, but they had also the marshmallow cream, and which was a big deal for fluff nutters, I think was what my roommate used to call it.
Yeah, the peanut butter and marshmallow. Yeah.
George, are you calling from New York right now? Is this New York?
Yeah, we're at the Javits in Manhattan.
Okay.
2 solid floors plus a extra area here.
Is Mandani there at all? You got Mandani, the mayor?
No, he's not. The mayor is not here. And frankly, this is capitalism on a different level.
Okay.
These are people that own their own companies, and the numerous numbers of family-owned organizations. One of the I was walking in yesterday, and I ran into a guy that got a straw. That you put the straw into a canteen or a glass of water, and the hydration comes out of the straw into the water, and so you just have to have the straw with you.
Yeah.
Well, I said, this would be. You should be at the Army USA or the Sea, Air, and Space, because the military hydration is the biggest problem with guys especially in the desert.
I think
when they're fighting.
They know.
Well, the thing is that there's about 1 million different ways to do hydration, but the straw idea was a whole new area. And so the guy asked me whether or not he could call me later on. He goes, "Well, where are you?" And I said, "I'm in Washington, D.C., and we've got 2 other things going before the Department of War." And I said, "Why don't you get this other one over to me?
Yeah.
And we'll go through this."
Look at you. You're making connections for us. I love it.
Well, the thing is that when I discovered this, Melissa's brought me over here from the produce area. And I had just no idea that this was so huge. Yeah. And as you know, I haven't missed a conference yet.
Yeah.
And other than the 1 year when the Supreme Court, today's the last day of the Supreme Court things, but I've got 2 clerks there picking up the stuff, and they're calling me with it.
So you could be here. I love that.
Yeah. Well, we thought it was all going to be done by Friday.
Yeah.
But the thing is that usually most of the stuff that I do with the Supreme Court is already done by about this point.
Yeah.
But it should be interesting, except for the screaming, because everybody, nobody likes. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like it.
You can't make everybody happy.
Yes, you're never going to be able to make anybody happy. But here at this thing, I'm seeing people that are getting to try everything.
Yep.
But the distributors, the main biggest thing is that how many new distributors I'm seeing, people that are walking around and we're looking to help these small businesses.
Yes.
And whether it be Irish butter or Irish potato chips or Pakistani.
Do we have any Irish whiskey at all? Is there any Irish whiskey?
Nope. I saw a little bit of booze on this thing, but
not a lot.
But not a lot. This is a food one, and
lots of the non-alcoholic beverages though, like the mocktails and all the other kind of alternatives.
I don't know. I've had banana. I've had banana drinks. I've had banana milk. I've had banana popsicles. Whatever the guys downstairs are making a great popsicle, and pina colada. But what is the focus for the SFA? What are you, the Specialty Food Association? What are you guys looking at in the next 10 years? Because this is just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Well, and the Summer Fancy Food Show and then the Winter Fancy Fair are really kind of our flagship events that we do every year, but we are a year-round member-based organization. So we are constantly churning out resources, education, and coming up with, different types of programs for these makers to help them in between the shows, to get the word out, to figure out things like the shared kitchen and how to do nutritional labeling and, food safety and all this. So we've got a lot of things going on in between the shows. But in terms of where the association goes, I think it's a really great time to be in specialty because consumers are really paying a different level of attention to what they're putting in their bodies and to nutrition. And the folks on this show floor that's kind of their ethos. So.
Well, it was before the winter show, Lauren Walker, who was marketing director over at USDA, and Brooke Rollins said, is anybody going to the Specialty Food Association show in San Diego? Can we get somebody to give us a report on it? And do we have to send somebody? And Lauren says, George is already going.
Yeah.
And so just call him. And so I got a call from the secretary immediately on this. And then she called me last week and she goes, well, this is what will, conflict with the Supreme Court. And I said, I've already got my plane ticket, my train ticket. Took the train up yesterday, on Sunday. And it was just a wonderful trip, 3 hours to get here. And just, I hadn't traveled by train in a while, and it was nice to do that. And we even got a special deal. So,
well, it's nice to.
Oh, and the hotels, by the way, I'm staying at the Hilton Times Square.
It is madness in Times Square right now.
And we have the World Cup and everything else, but with all of that, the firm that I'm with, Becker, they actually picked up the tab on it, but my room was still around $150.
That's great.
And for a really nice room. And so we're seeing some great prices, even though there's a World Cup going on.
Yeah, well, we partner with the city to work with the hotels to actually create room blocks where we're able to get some really good deals on rates. So we're buying in bulk across Manhattan, and then passing that on to the people coming to the show. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to get something, because I know I
called on Friday, and it through your system, and it was, they called me back. Go, this can't be right. There's got to be. We're expecting $600 a night, and but. This has been, anybody could afford to go to this show here in Manhattan, and I really recommend it. I've had nothing but a great time all going through this. I mean, the people who like topping the little cup things, I've got Jane actually bought me one a long time ago. A long time ago, and so. I've been walking around putting that, because I don't drink coffee, but I got to have it in the house for anybody who comes over.
George, I need to run, man. I've got to go.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, just wanted to say thank you for having us again. And
thanks for having me again.
And if you don't mind, we'd love to have you on in the interim too.
Anytime you want, I'm always available to you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thanks, Russ.
Take care.
You guys have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye. That was George.
Sounds like a fascinating show.
I think he's having a great time. I don't know much about the show.
Well, there's a lot of specialty food, and
I couldn't even get a question in there.
It was hard.
Come on, George.
But I have to say that it sounds like you would gain considerable weight.
He does.
If you go to that show.
But he's got an exercise machine at home. It's one of those rowers.
Oh,
when I go over there, I always hang my clothes on it because it doesn't get used. I think that's 99% of.
Well, I was going to ask if
equipment.
they have special provisions for media to come to the show, and I suspect they do. All these shows want as much exposure as they can get.
I had about 20 questions. I couldn't get them in. George didn't take a breath.
He was very good at keeping his pattern going.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. I got a myth about the Boston Tea Party. You want to hear it?
Yes.
It's newsman. Have you ever been to Boston where they have the
Well, I've gone through it a couple of times. I can't say I spent a bunch of time there.
I spent a month there with my son after he got back from
Oh, okay.
Afghanistan, and he lived in Boston, so I went there and got to see a lot of the history. I loved it. I mean, I didn't realize everything's within walking distance.
Well, it's the
Boston
old
Massacre.
the old historical town is not real large.
No, and they have replica ships there at the docks where the Boston Tea Party happened.
Oh, okay.
So you get to actually get on the ship and you can throw over another one of the crates.
Yeah, okay.
It's hooked to a rope and they pull it back in. The next guy throws
Yeah,
it
right.
over.
Okay. So what myth did you
The myth is what the tea was. Now, most people assume it was just black tea. No. Green tea was the most popular.
Oh, interesting.
Wow, I didn't know. I thought green tea was like a new thing. This Bruce Richardson, he wrote he's a Kentucky-based founder of Elmwood Inn Fine Teas, and he's a tea expert, I guess, historian. I bet you didn't know there was a tea expert and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I would assume that there would be tea experts. It's a very popular drink around the world.
Apparently, British subjects were likely to be drinking green tea as much as black tea, whether you were in England or where you were in colonial Boston. There were 5 teas, all from China. China was the only exporter of tea at the time. I think we got more now. They were the only country that were exporting tea. And of those 5 teas, 2 of them were green. 3 of them were black. He's a tea historian. And of course, the Boston Tea Party was, against the tea tax, the Tea Act of 1773. So they dressed as Indians and threw the tea into the ocean.
Right.
That's nice.
So do you have any insight on how we switched from majority tea drinkers to majority coffee drinkers?
I don't, except that the colonial at the time, because of the tea tax and the dislike of England, they would refuse to drink tea because I guess they controlled it all. It all came through, throw it in the harbor, then refuse to drink tea.
It was the mercantilist system.
But they couldn't give up the habit, and they would have, they still took tea time. Tea time was a big deal for the colonies, just like it was in England.
Sure.
And they would have in their house a tea caddy, and it was, a wooden piece of furniture was set aside. And in the tea caddy, they had one side for green tea and one side. Like, I didn't even know green tea was a thing, but now I find out even the furniture was made to accommodate green tea.
Well, there you go.
And there you go. But when they stopped drinking it because, but they couldn't quit the ritual, so they started drinking Patriot Brew Liberty teas, which could be made of dried apples, blueberries, chamomile, herbs grown in their garden. So they just made up a bunch of crap.
Well, I know that during World War II, there was a shortage on coffee, and people would drink chicory. They'd roast chicory to taste sort of like coffee when you make a drink of it.
But they didn't want to support the British government, so they started making tea out of dried apples. And still could have their tea time.
Yeah.
Because you had the furniture dedicated to it.
Well, you don't want to disrupt your whole life.
I can't.
If you can avoid it.
But don't you the question, where did the tea time go? It went to just give me a cup of coffee. I wonder why.
I don't know, but I read a little bit of history of coffee, and coffee became very popular in England for a while. And they had coffee shops, shops dedicated to serving coffee. And, people realized that if you drank coffee, you performed a little better. You physically performed a little better, and your thoughts were a little clearer.
Yeah.
It's sort of, coffee is caffeine, and tea has caffeine too, but I think it's the concentration is a little lower in tea than in coffee. And, it's sort of at the low end of the speed spectrum, as they say.
Do you ever drink tea? I mean, I have tea at the house. I
have drank tea. I drank tea sometimes in Australia. Tea is pretty popular in Australia, and coffee is not as popular. And so it's hard to get good coffee in Australia, so I just took it with me.
All right, I got to ask you about Second Amendment, because I got something here about Trump wanting to make concealed carry nationwide.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Trump. It's been something that the Second Amendment community has wanted for a long time.
Sure.
If you can carry in your home state, why can't you carry in other states? The Second Amendment doesn't stop at the border between Arizona and California. And so that's one of the things, an initiative that Trump is putting forward. I don't expect it to happen probably until after the midterms, I'm guessing.
But for him to put that forward, that's going to go through the legislation. That's not a
no, he can't do it by executive order.
no, that's not going to be it. But he was just at the Mack truck facility there in Pennsylvania a few days ago when he was talking a lot about it. He had the Bill Bockenberg in the crowd, the National Rifle Association president,
Sure.
and talking about doing that. It's Senator Mike Lee out of Utah that introduced the National Constitutional
Mike
Carry
Lee
Act.
is a big Second Amendment supporter. There's no question.
I think he's a big freedom, liberty,
Yeah, he is.
patriot, and he's vocal.
He is. And there's more Second Amendment news going on because the Supreme Court has just released two decisions this last week. The Hamani decision, which is where a person who admitted that he would use marijuana on a fairly regular basis.
I read about that.
And that case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said you can't just take away somebody's Second Amendment rights because they occasionally use marijuana.
Well, and it went back to the justices looking at when the bill was written and what the intent was at the time it was written, and at the time,
well,
no
we're
one
talking
ever
about the Second Amendment, not the legislation. The Second Amendment, when the Second Amendment was
the Second
ratified
Amendment, but okay,
in 1791.
But the way it was handled at the time,
Exactly,
is if you had a beer or were known to have beers in the evening, no one come in and took away your gun rights.
exactly. So you had to be someone who was just habitually drunk all the time and couldn't control themselves.
Yeah,
that was when they would say, we're not going to let you have guns. But during the Revolution and around that time period, there was a lot of drinking going on. I mean, and there were taverns everywhere.
And
it was common for people to drink a lot of alcohol.
Right.
And they did not take away people's rights to keep and bear arms if they would drink.
Right.
It was only when they became so inebriated so much time that basically they had no control over their actions. And this is where the Bruin decision actually was decided in Heller in 2008. But what's happened is that several states, there's about 10 or a dozen states that just don't want to accept the Supreme Court's rulings on the Second Amendment. So they say, well, you don't, if we look at it kind of squint, we can say you can do this to limit Second Amendment rights. And then it ends up going back to the Supreme Court and they slap them down. And that's what happened in this session with the Hamani decision about marijuana. And then they had the Wolford decision, which just came out, I think it was 2 days ago. It was Tuesday, last Thursday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And in that decision, they essentially said what we said in Heller and then reaffirmed to the states in McDonald and then made a unanimous decision in the Kitano decision and then emphasized in Bruin, we really mean it.
Yeah. Like I've told you 5 times now.
Yeah. And they said, you can't do this. You cannot look at the restrictions you want to put on and incorporate them into the text of the Second Amendment. It doesn't work that way. If the law concerns arms, then it's part of the second. You have to look at it from the Second Amendment perspective.
Right.
And that's a big deal because then it becomes the duty of the state to prove that a very similar law or regulation was in effect over a wide part of the United States when the Second Amendment was ratified.
If it was, they would have found it by now.
Well, mostly. I've read almost all of the laws that were passed them because this has come up in numerous court cases.
Sure.
So after a while, you say, "Oh yeah, that's that Kentucky 1832 case," or "Oh yeah, that's that case that was in England in 1300 or whatever," and you recognize them. There's only so many, and there's only so many documents out there. So most of the infringements on the Second Amendment that have happened since, and most of them happened since the Civil War, are going to go away.
Well, one of the ones I'm familiar with, that if you get a felony, they can take away your ability to carry a concealed
Yes,
weapon.
but felonies were a lot different when the Second Amendment was ratified than
Oh,
what
really?
they are today.
Okay.
Felonies in the 1968 gun law, they just defined felonies as anything that you might be sentenced to more than a year in prison
And they
for.
would restrict your Second Amendment.
And then
rights
you
and
lose your
take-
Second Amendment rights forever. And
Yeah.
the Supreme Court has not specifically ruled on that yet, but it's coming. And several lower courts are starting to rule. And
This
essentially, if you did not commit a violent crime, they can't take away your Second Amendment rights.
But they've been taking away Second Amendment rights forever, and yet they still catch, known drug dealers that have been arrested multiple times, multiple felonies. They still have guns on them.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they
It's
like
a funny thing about
they don't care about the law.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's part of being a criminal, is that you've already decided that you're willing to break the law if it's if you think it's to your advantage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so guns are a technology that we've been pretty available for about 600
But
years.
they make the penalties harsh, but then they don't enforce it.
And that's the same thing that happened in England. They had during the 1700s.
Yeah.
They had problems in the big cities with pickpockets and people stealing stuff, and so they made the penalties super harsh.
And
You
then
know,
they won't enforce it.
if you're caught stealing the second time, you're supposed to be executed. Well, so the jury said, no, this kid stole a loaf of bread. We're not going to execute him.
Right.
So they just would nullify the law. And so what they ended up doing is they send them over to the colonies,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
at
that's
that time
dump-
was the U.S. And then when the U.S. became independent, they sent everybody to Australia.
Oh, I'm glad I got here.
Yeah, the U.S. was
But the left,
better.
as they continue to do this, they pass laws after laws after laws after laws. Then they don't enforce them, and it gets worse. Now they just want to ban all guns. No guns allowed anywhere. Which,
well, that's always
that's
been
what England did.
Well,
Pretty much.
yes. I mean, it's a little more nuanced, and I it's probably not worth us. You probably don't want me to go into a
No, I don't.
PhD dissertation about how the English banned guns, but I could do it.
Yeah.
But what we see, and then Wolford basically said, no, stop this.
Yeah.
We meant what we said, and you cannot play these games anymore. And it was very clearly spelled out.
Do you think they've learned their lessons now? All these states, are they going to stop challenging this? No, they won't.
No, I don't
No,
think so. But I think
it's in their DNA.
I think the Supreme Court is going to be a lot faster at slapping them down. And there's like 5 cases, firearms cases, Second Amendment cases, that the Supreme Court is considering whether they're going to hear the cases or not. And they looked at them yesterday. And they said, we're not going to make a decision.
They've done a lot of gun cases.
They
in the
have
last
done quite a
years,
few. And
man.
if you
Second
look
Amendment.
at how busy they are, you
Yeah.
can understand why they don't take 20 gun cases a year. Well, because they only take about 70, and guns are not the only thing that they have to look at.
Yeah.
And look at all the emergency orders for the President Trump that they've had to do this last
I
year.
know. Well, Trump has been harassed legally more than any president, probably. I mean, I haven't done the
I think
research
you're
on it,
right.
but
I
it's-
can't think of any. Let's see, after Lincoln was assassinated, his vice president came very, very close to being impeached. I think it was only 1 vote off
Yeah.
in the Senate.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he wasn't. They didn't have this lawfare,
Yeah.
excuse me, against him.
And it doesn't matter what he does. And I think, and Edward keeps me apprised of the list of impeachable offenses that the Democrats have collected. Last time he sent me a note on it was like up to 160, 170.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like
anything. It doesn't matter.
Ate chocolate on a Tuesday. you
Right.
know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Impeachable offense is whatever we say it is.
That's correct. And it's set up that way. Impeachment is a political action.
Yeah.
That's the way it's set up in the Constitution.
High crimes and misdemeanors.
Correct. And the Congress gets to decide what
Yeah.
a high crime and misdemeanor is.
Yeah.
And so
you
the
made Nancy
Democrats-
Pelosi mad. you know.
Yeah. So that's
Senator Mike Lee, I just want to say something about this national constitutional carry act
Yeah,
that,
right.
that he put in. Now, I assumed when they were doing something like this that they would be looking at taking these concealed carry permits and making them reciprocity for all states, like a driver's license.
That's one
but,
way.
But Mike Lee's legislation would eliminate concealed carry permits. Would eliminate them.
No, it doesn't do that.
Yes, it does.
No, it just means you don't have to have concealed carry permits.
Well,
there's a difference. The law will still allow you to get a concealed carry permit, but what Mike Lee says, this is my understanding, is that if your state does not require a concealed carry permit for you to carry concealed, then other states wouldn't require you to have one either.
Well, let me just read you the comments from Trump. Trump commented more than 3 months after Senator Mike Lee from Utah introduced the National Concealed Carry Act, legislation that would eliminate concealed carry permit requirements nationwide for eligible Americans.
Yeah, so
you wouldn't need it.
What's the outlet? Who's saying this?
I
I guarantee they don't know what's in the law.
Well, I'll have to look at the National Constitutional Carry Act. You probably read it. I haven't.
There's several different ones.
According to Mike Lee, the founders established a national right to keep and bear arms, not to ask for permission from hostile local officials or risk imprisonment for crossing the wrong state line.
All that is correct.
And I think this is, he said many states already protect the right to carry without a permit. And it's time to reaffirm this right for all law-abiding Americans. The National Constitutional Carry Act will establish nationwide permitless carry to keep Americans safe and her people free. Now, those are quotes from Mike Lee.
Right. But that doesn't say we are going to eliminate all concealed carry permits. It just says we will establish nationwide permitless carry.
It says eliminate concealed carry permit requirements.
Yes.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah. I didn't get there.
Arizona has constitutional carry.
Yeah.
We also have our concealed carry permit system.
Mm-hmm.
I have an Arizona concealed carry permit. I don't need it most places, but I like to have it.
It'd be nice to have reciprocity, though.
And we have reciprocity with like 32 or 33 states. It'd be nice to have it for California and for New York and for New Jersey and Maryland.
How many states have a concealed carry with some form of concealed carry where you can carry a concealed firearm without a permit?
29 states have permitless carry.
Exactly what this article says. 29. I was kind of surprised. I didn't know it was that many now. I didn't know.
Yeah, and we came within a squeaker of having North Carolina added to that.
And they could have made it an even 30?
Yes.
Oh,
and it was
missed a milestone.
They had enough votes to override the governor's veto. The governor in North Carolina is a Democrat, and he vetoed the legislation. And they had enough votes to override it, but at the last minute, a couple of Republicans, reversed and chickened out, and they didn't override the veto.
Those Republicans. Lee's legislation would allow eligible Americans who can legally possess firearms to carry concealed weapons nationwide without obtaining a permit. The bill would also prohibit states and local governments from imposing licensing requirements, fees, or criminal penalties, or otherwise lawful public carry, while preserving restrictions in certain secured areas and on private property where firearms are prohibited. Now, private property comes up. That's what Hawaii was doing that, where it said,
that was part of Wolford, and the Wolford decision was out of Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't carry it on private land or something, which
what happened
without written permission.
The government said that you cannot. You have to presume that the owner is not going to allow you to carry unless you get explicit permission from him. It reversed the common law tradition that you're allowed into a place that allows the public in, and then if they don't want you there, they can tell you that.
Right.
So
and turned it upside down.
The Supreme Court said we're not going to go that way.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk to Carl again. Hey, Carl, thanks for calling back, buddy.
Hey, good morning. Yes. And on the guns, when I went to school, we carried guns in our trucks and thought nothing of it now because we really didn't think about pistols that much.
No, I would carry hunting rifles, but no, I didn't carry pistols. I didn't own a pistol.
It was common, Carl. We did that even in Wisconsin, too.
Well, imagine particularly Wisconsin, more hunting.
Well, yeah, but you got bears there, don't you?
We have a lot more bears in Wisconsin now than we ever did when I was growing up.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Could you
So,
imagine now
when
if someone had a rifle in their car and drove onto the Kofa parking lot to park their car? I
yeah,
think there'd
know
be a
you
SWAT
could.
team over there. You know?
Yeah, but that's just a difference in time,
Yeah.
and that's just people doing stupid stuff that make it hard where we can do what we really should be able to allow to do.
Frankly, I'm not going to be worried about somebody who has a rifle rack in their back of their truck doing something
No,
really stupid. But unfortunately, today it might be an invitation for somebody to break into the
I was
truck.
gonna say, when was the last time you seen a rifle rack in the back of a window? I haven't seen one in
I
forever.
don't see them for quite, and
No.
it's because of people worried
Yeah.
about theft. I think I see a lot of bumper stickers and stickers on
Yeah.
windows and stuff.
Yeah.
no, but I think you're right that I wouldn't do it because somebody would steal it.
Right.
There's nowhere in the world. I don't think it'd take a day. Maybe in Yuma it'd take longer than that, but you go park your car some of the places.
Worse than that, they'd break your window.
It sounds like a great
Yeah.
sting operation for the YPD.
Yeah.
Put a gun rack in a truck
Yeah,
and watch it.
and then watch it. You can even just watch it with a camera. You don't even have to have anybody there.
I don't know you're allowed to
Yeah.
bait like that. Are
Yes,
you?
that's
could bait?
absolutely legal.
All right, you could do that.
But anyway, I wanted to finish up on Mayor Nichols. You know, I've lived in Yuma since 1954,
Man.
and this is really the first mayor of a city that really got around and really talked to a lot of people and do things with people. And he's making this. You know, it's like having a boss or somebody running your business. If he's doing an excellent job, why in the hell would you want to get rid of him? Why would you put somebody in that man seat that has not a clue what the hell's going on?
He really is. But I've had people call me and say, "Well, we got to get rid of Doug. He's doing a terrible job." And I said, "Well, how?
What's he doing?
What's he? Oh,
How?
they say, well, he wants a spaceport. Nobody needs that." Or something. I'm like, what are you kidding me? I mean, I guess they just know half the issue, or they don't know what they're
Yeah.
talking about. But spaceport
Yeah.
wouldn't even cost
And
the city a dime, you know.
Yeah. Well, and look at that. Look at where they boil eggs in Yuma.
Yeah.
That was costing the city money. That was depleting money out of the city's pocket. And so what the mayor did, he took a piece of property and made it where that piece of property is putting money back in the city. And when they put money back in the city, that takes less money out of my pocket to have a good city.
Yeah.
Am I
No,
right
he's
or wrong
doing
on that?
he's doing a great job, and he's the
Yeah.
only one on the ballot now. There's a write-in. Is there two write-in candidates or
Yeah.
one?
No, there's just one, and he shows me how bad a job he does because he doesn't even know how to advertise.
Well, I think
You
I
know?
think he's a smart guy, and I think he's well, he doesn't. I mean, he lives here, I guess, but all his businesses are in Mexico
Yeah.
or somewhere else. Except recently he opened up a business here, and he just registered to
Yeah.
vote just to run for mayor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
But
how engaged he
I-
is. I think he's a smart guy.
Well-
I'm a little afraid of him. I don't know enough about him.
Well, it's really
Well,
hard
I
to
mean-
win with a write-in.
Yeah, it is
yeah,
hard.
that is true.
And he
But
just go ahead.
how hard is it to go for a job interview and hell don't even shave?
Yeah.
You know, that to me is not just going back to the person itself. When you're out trying to talk somebody into do something for you and you can't even shave.
You know, I
Yeah.
invited him onto the radio here. I said, "Come on in, we'll talk." And he declined. He said no. He didn't want to be asked a bunch of questions.
Yeah, that's the problem. And now,
Yeah.
well, if you called the mayor right now, when he had time, he'd do it because he don't mind talking. To
No,
us.
I could call him on his cell phone. He'd answer.
Yeah.
He'd
So,
what do you want? You know, of course.
you know, and that's what really amazes me. Now, if the mayor was doing a bad job, I'd be the guy that's running against him, and we'd
Sure.
work like hell to get him elected. But
Sure.
when you have somebody doing, you could put them on the 80-20 rule if you wanted to. If they do 80 good, 20 bad, well, hell, I'm still going to vote for the guy.
He's a great representative. He takes good care of us.
yeah.
He goes to DC or Phoenix, either one, to represent
Yeah.
our community. He does.
Yeah. But just drive around and look at our city. City is clean.
Mhm.
Streets all look nice. And
Well-
the roads really are fairly good. If you wanna drive
they
on
got
some
potholes, and I'm embracing the potholes. I like them.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
run a business.
I run a business that fixes
Yeah.
pothole damage, so keep those
so
going.
you're the guy. You're the guy seen out there digging the hole in the middle of the road to make a pothole.
I'd never admit to that, Russ.
I've never been
I
charged.
understand. Well, anyway, I want to say one more thing. I would like people to come out to the fireworks show out at the convention center and come by the Colorado River Tea Party booth. And we have little stickers we're giving away for the 25th anniversary of the United States.
All right.
And if they'll take that little sticker and they'll take it home, stick it on the refrigerator, they can help us stick around for another 250 years and do it for our grandchildren.
That'll be even a bigger party. Yeah.
Are they magnetic stickers?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You know,
Well, he doesn't mess around.
you just hand somebody. You just hand that to and say, why don't you go put that on your refrigerator and help you stick around?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And I'd like people to stick around for our grandchildren.
There you go.
Yes.
For the city I see here in Yuma, I would I'd leave it to my grandchildren.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
Appreciate you calling.
you guys have a good
Thank
day.
you, sir.
Bye.
Grandchildren. Carl has skin in the game.
Yeah, he does. And he cares.
Yeah.
That guy's in his 80s and he does more than most.
He's
you know.
great. I love Carl.
He really does a nice job. Fetterman is out there going a little vocal.
Yeah, well, he's said some very, sane things.
I know. And it's the guy with brain damage. And he's like the best Democrat.
He is. At least he sounds like the best one. Now, I understand his voting record is not nearly as
No,
good.
his voting record is still Democrat.
Right. But he
But,
says sane
for-
things.
For the most part. But he doesn't mind on issues that make sense to him to vote with it, whether the Democrats do or don't.
Yes.
He's not. He probably is anti-Trump on some of his policies, but he's not Trump derangement syndrome.
Right. I agree. He at least is willing to sound sane.
Well, right now he's sounding off on his own party.
Yeah.
He's just mad at his own party. He said, "Big night for the dirtbag left." Now that's
wow.
that's coming from a Democrat. Good night for the dirtbag left, and that was in reaction to Mandami's hand-picked candidates that won on a communist ticket.
Yeah. Now that the whole state of New York or just New York City?
I don't know for sure.
I know he swept New York City.
I think these were New York City, really, but I'm not sure for that. It's let me see, a New York DSA member Valdez won a primary on a platform of abolishing ICE and a Green New Deal. But I think that was New York City. It doesn't really say what the office was. And this is
well, of course, New York City is a majority of New York.
oh yeah, it's 8 million people.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Let's talk to Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert,
Hey,
good morning.
Russ.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Hey, Dean, what's going on?
Well, I was talking
So-
about. I'm glad to talk to you.
The Raging Cajuns also talking crap about the Democratic Party now.
Are you guys still around?
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm going, what?
He's
Did you see that, Dean?
Yeah.
that
How I take a double, triple take on that.
guy has become so, I don't know, vicious
Volatile?
and
Well, he was really
Venomous. He's a-
deranged for a
Yeah.
while. I mean, he talked about we
Yeah.
got to pack the Supreme Court when we get in, and then we're going to make 2 more states, and the Republicans will never have power again. We got to do it.
yeah, man,
I'm
he's just-
paraphrasing, but
yeah,
that's what he
he's-
said.
and he looks
But
terrible.
he went off on the Democratic Party the other day.
Yeah, he's mad at him. He does not like the new communist left.
Yeah, but you know what? We need more of them saying the same thing because we are in deep caca right now.
Yeah, but more sane people like Fetterman. I mean, the Raging
Yeah, yeah,
Cajuns just. I don't think anyone's really giving him any credibility anymore. He looks like Lord Baltimore from Henry.
But
I s-
but listen, we got purple hair still there.
Yeah.
We got all them other left wing people that are talking the trash. AOC, all of them, they're still
But-
talking.
and it
the
would
trash.
be decent if some of them would read once in a while, but it's obvious that they don't know what they're talking about. If they ever get questioned, they get stumped and have to leave the room.
Exactly. And like I was talking the other day, and I'm going to do a little more research on how many people are on welfare throughout America, and we're looking at millions of people,
Oh yeah.
and that we're going to have to defend ourselves against if we decide to stop all this welfare crap that we know as we know today. Those are all the people that are voting to keep America ruined. You know, New York City and New
yeah,
Jersey is a good example.
I think you're correct, Gilbert.
Yeah, and that's what's scary. You get all the people. Look at Arizona. I think 20% are on some sort of subsidies in Arizona.
I
I
don't.
looked that up the other day.
Yeah, I don't
I
know,
looked it up
but the
the other day.
percentage is high, and it's just kind of shocking. In fact, I remember when we found out about SNAP, there was 42 million people on SNAP. During the shutdown, I was like, well, that's going to take SNAP away from 42 million. I'm like, 42 million on SNAP?
Well, Gilbert, as somebody who retired out of the Department of Defense, I guess I'm one of those on the federal tip.
No, they don't count that.
Oh, they don't.
No,
we're
you work.
we're not talking retirement benefits.
Oh, okay.
No,
We're not
I'm
talking Medicare or
welfare.
Social Security. It's just these are just welfare, Medicaid.
Welfare,
Wow.
your SNAP, all
Yeah.
them. Now, I believe in helping people that need help as far as food. I don't believe children should starve and yada yada yada.
No,
But doggone it, we need to get back to the basics. You get your basic food, your milk,
but it
no
needs to be
sugar.
it needs to be part of a rehabilitation program where you can
Yeah,
take a
Exactly.
GED,
Exactly.
take classes in how to write a resume, something like that.
Yeah,
Like
Newt
How
Gingrich
to
put
work.
in reform like that in the after '94, and it worked really,
Yep.
really
we
well.
have that in our public housing in Yuma. You can get public housing in Yuma, but along with that, you have to show you're working on a job, getting a GED, taking classes.
Yep.
They work with you.
Now look at I can only use Somerton because that's what I know. You can you get help building your own home, but you got to put your labor into that home.
Oh, that's
So a lot of,
a separate deal, and I think that's through the Department of Agriculture, believe it or not.
but it
Yeah.
still helps.
Oh my God,
When-
yes, yeah, that's a great
When I'm
program.
coming, it still helps. And the thing is you got skin in the game
Well, that's it.
because you
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
You got skin. All the other people. Look at all these housings that we across America. All the low income housing. How they look after they move in. Because they had
Well,
no skin in the game.
right.
Well, and I think that's one of the, what do they call this? The Trump program, where you start an account, Trump accounts for children, and you can put up to $1,000 a year in it, and it just keeps accumulating.
Oh yeah.
And that's a way to get children to realize they have skin in the game.
Right.
Because
Yep.
those programs depend on America surviving. That's how you keep that fund growing. And then if you realize at 18 you get $50,000 in this program, then you have skin in the game.
Yeah.
And again, why do we need foreign labor? It's real simple. We have a lot of domestic welfare recipients that aren't working, so we don't have the labor to go out in the fields and other things.
I don't think we have enough welfare recipients. We had to import some of those too.
Yeah, I think that's exactly correct. I think a lot of our welfare are not American citizens.
Oh man, we're finding out
Yeah.
more than we know, and it's all fraud.
Yep.
A lot of fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those people that are in office, they're in office because they created that mess, and people are voting to keep them in.
I think
Yeah.
that's especially
Yes.
prevalent in New York and in California.
Yes.
Arizona, we got our own mess in Arizona.
Yeah, it's true.
Something that, it might not be as large, but the fact is that we have it.
Well, and you
So-
don't want it to get as large. I mean, it's really out of control in California.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, right. Look what Newsom passed the other day. Didn't he pass it like you can't ask if you're on welfare? He passed something.
Oh, the
stupid
Nick Shirley
other day.
Act.
It's like,
Yeah, Nick Shirley Act. is,
Oh, where
Yeah.
you're not even allowed to report.
can't report on people that are defrauding the government. You're harassing them.
Yeah, you can't make
Yeah.
us look bad.
Yeah. Did they pass
plus
that? Did
his,
they pass that act?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know, but the fact that he had it on it, and then he has this 60-cent income tax on gasoline or something like that. He's talking about.
I believe they have the highest tax on gasoline
Right
in the
now
country.
they do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can't complain about it. So
Well, they
that's
don't
what-
like you to complain about it. You know, I don't know if
They're,
it's
they're not going to,
quite illegal yet.
not yet, but they're working on it.
Yeah.
But again, what I'm getting at is the only reason a lot of these things are being passed because one, no voter ID, two, illegal aliens can vote. I don't know how we're going to create legislation to stop it in
Well,
California. I really don't.
I think the SAVE Act is a good start.
We could all drive to California and vote in the next one.
Well, maybe.
It would be great. I don't know how many people, how many people live in California? Is it
It's like
60 million?
it's a lot. 40 million, I
40
think.
million?
39.
It would be
40
great if they had 80 million votes.
I'm surprised that
Did they have
they
that?
may have that. I know there's some
They had
places
that in California.
yeah,
They had it in parts of California. They had more voters than they had population.
right.
We should make sure they do that. That'd be great if they did that.
I-
People just spent all day voting day driving around a different thing and
Well,
registering and voting.
you read about people who actually said they've done that. You know, they managed to
Yeah.
vote several
Yeah.
times.
California leaves it open
I have
because there's no rules, man. No
well,
rules.
the rules
I
are
have a
you
question.
can't check ID, you don't
Yep.
pay attention to signatures,
Yeah,
you mail out ballots to every single person who's ever registered anywhere.
it's basically we trust all voters. We don't have to ask them a
But
question.
what did that judge do yesterday? They passed the bill, or she passed the bill that you can still count votes after election
Well,
day.
It's a little more nuanced, but what they said, and
Yeah.
it was about a particular state. Which state was it? I forget.
Uh,
And they said that if the mail out ballots were postmarked by election day, you could count them up to 5 days afterward.
Oh, I thought it was more
And-
than
and
that.
they- and
What
they
I was
allowed
hearing
that?
last night on
Damn.
TV. Yeah, I was hearing it last night. A matter of fact, on Gutfeld, they were talking about it.
California is, I think it's beyond 5. I think it's 10 in California. Isn't it?
It's a I think they give like 2 weeks
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
can
I-
still count votes.
I
I
have
don't
a
know.
question.
Do we have the results of the last election from
Well, it's only been a
California?
month, probably not.
So, hey, Russ, I have a question.
What?
Explain to me and the population out here in Yuma what happened in Pima County with their ballots.
Yeah.
It's something. I just heard a blip on it. So these ballots are incorrect. And what are they going to do about it? Do you have any idea on that?
I'm unaware, but I get David Lara on the phone and ask him.
Right,
Yeah, I
figured-
don't have a.
I don't have a
I hadn't
clue.
read an article about that either. I
Yeah,
mean,
something
it's been
about
an
Pima County
ongoing
and-
controversy for what, 4 years?
Yeah, but no, something about the.
but you're
the
talking
ballots were
currently,
incorrect
right now. We got ballot problems right now.
right now.
Well, it's
In
all
Pima
it's
County.
all the board of supervisors' fault. They're responsible.
Well, my
Oh.
suspicion is that the Trump administration got a lot of election information from Arizona to investigate the last couple of elections.
At Maricopa County.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
maybe this has something to do with that.
Oh, no, is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about something out of Yuma?
No, Pima, he
County.
said.
Pima County.
Oh,
Pima
Pima.
County.
Oh, yes, it does have something to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah.
What, do you have any information on
I
that?
do not. I do not.
But it's
Okay.
relevant that it's the federal government that's
Well-
investigating.
Oh, they
Well,
confiscated.
you and Dean got your computers, or you can check it out and then let us know what's going on.
All right.
Hint, hint.
All
God
right.
bless you guys.
Take a
I'm
look,
gonna
man.
Kick back.
All right,
Oh,
buddy.
bye.
Bye. Yeah, Gilbert, we'll do your homework, which I don't mind. We'll do it.
Well, that's what we do, right?
The John Fetterman, getting back to him real quick. He says, he's talking about Graham Plattner a
Yeah.
little bit too, which is just driving him crazy. We got all these communists and you got Graham Plattner. And he says, I mean, you look at some of the things that people have said, abolish prison, abolish the border, abolish ICE. I mean, these crazy people, I have colleagues in my caucus that refuse to even call this out.
Yeah, that's right.
Good
And
for
that's
Fetterman.
out of New York. That's what some of these candidates are directly calling for.
Oh.
They have a long history of it. They're serious about it.
They're not hiding it, not backing down.
No, they're right out front. We need to abolish prisons and the border
The only one that's not out
and
front's
police too.
Graham Plattner. He lies. Well,
Well,
I didn't know what that tattoo was on my chest.
Yeah, it's-
And then his
he's got a history.
girlfriends come forward and says, "Man, he bragged about that Nazi tattoo forever."
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's first I heard. Well, he said, and he called Fetterman says between P hustle in Maine. He called him P Hustle, not Plattner.
Oh, okay.
Between P Hustle in Maine and some of the other winners in New York, they should form their own party and run all the things that they've had to delete on social media.
Well, that's there are several people in the Democratic Party that have said that should happen. That they
Yeah.
should split off and form their own party.
Oh, yeah.
But they have successfully taken over
right.
the Democratic Party, and I don't think it's going to happen that way.
No. He says that's where our party's moved. And look, Republicans, you know, and you tell me, but have they been taken over by MAGA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But
it is now the Trumpian party.
But let me ask you. I think what the Democrats are dealing with right now with the communist socialists is a great diversion from where they were. I mean, terrible.
Oh, absolutely. They've
think-
moved way to the left, whereas
I
would say the Republican Party has moved to the mainstream.
I think the MAGA is a more populist, but it's within Republican philosophy.
Oh,
of small
absolutely.
government, Republican philosophy of no fraud.
In my opinion, MAGA is just calling on mainstream Republicans to do what they said they would
Right.
do, but always found a way not to.
Well, when it's funny when a Democrat says you're one of those MAGA, like they're going to throw up, which
MAGA's mainstream.
Well, it is. It's populist.
Yeah,
I mean-
exactly.
I mean,
That's what populist is. It means
but-
most of the people support it.
Right. And Trump picked stuff that like everyone says, yeah, majority of, I mean, well, not everybody, but majority of the people, wherever your party is, agree with it. Like
most of
like-
Trump's issues are like 80-20, 84-20 against,
and
maybe
it-
70-30.
and at worst, maybe 60-40, but they're all,
that's unusual.
but they're
Most
all
of them are very
populist.
popular positions.
And the Democrats are saying no ID for voters, which for them, it's a 2080, it's a loser.
Yeah, it's 80% of the population said, yeah, sure, we should have voter
And they say, oh,
ID.
heck, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
Because they don't care about their people.
I think that I'll call it progressive philosophy, and I don't think it's much different than Marxist. It might claim to be a little different, but essentially they don't trust the people.
No, because they're not
They
smart.
want elites to rule.
That's exactly the elitism. They're not smart, so we can't trust them. Let's take a phone call from Sandy. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning. Jesse Waters in his show pointed out the new Democrat Party strategy, which is basically their advisors sat down to figure out what do we tell all these people to say, and they sent out the talking points, and the
Yeah.
talking point is we're a big tent party. And then the second part of it, and that's what they're all saying, Warnock, Chris Murphy, you name it, all these guys that are not the good guys like Fetterman.
Big tent party, but
And
we don't want
then
Fetterman.
When
Yeah.
somebody asks them a specific question, well, what do you think about like Chevalier wiping her hands on a flag, or what do you think about so and so talking about the border should be open and we should open all the prisons? They say, well, I haven't heard that. So the second part is playing dumb.
Let's just go right
So
to
the
the
new
lies.
strategy
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
big tent, play dumb.
Deny.
And then
Sounds
another
like
part
Clinton.
of it is to say, well, I don't agree with everything they say, but we're a big tent party. So that's still the big tent and then playing dumb about it.
Well, I thought part of
So-
this big tent was we hate Trump.
Yeah. Are they dropping that
Well,
part, Sandy?
they didn't say, well, I didn't hear them say that.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that they didn't say it. I may not have heard it.
Yeah.
Well, it
But
just seems to me
we
that
want to get rid of ICE. We've got to get rid of ICE.
Yeah.
They killed two people. Yeah, one tried to run them over, and the other one had a gun and he kept going after these ICE people.
Well,
and,
if the ICE members
he
did
just
something
kept
fault,
going after him, and then but they always leave that part out. She was
Correct.
going to run that agent over.
they spin
And
it.
several others after that incident have tried to run ICE and Border Patrol over.
correct.
So
What they leave out, Victor Davis Hanson makes a good point about this, is that most of the ICE agents are Hispanic, middle class Hispanic people.
right,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are.
right.
Yeah. Because
But they're
bilingual is a
also-
requirement.
they're American patriots.
Well, true.
And the
Yeah.
Democrats are showing us that they're definitely anti-American, whether they be these, I'll call them communists. They want to call themselves Democrat socialists, and maybe we need to put, wasn't that the original name of the Nazi party? Democrat socialists of like Germany? I don't
It
know.
was the National Socialist.
Was it National?
National
Okay.
Socialist
All right, I had
Party.
that wrong.
Well, I mean, it's not much different. And Mussolini
Right.
also was the fascists were a nationalist movement. What happened was that Mussolini and eventually Hitler, but Mussolini was the first one. He said, "Look at how patriotic people were in World War I. We can't go against nationalism. If we're going to have socialism succeed, we have to accept patriotism as part of it. So we have to be a nationalist socialist party, and that's what Hitler picked up on too.
Yeah.
And so they became the National Socialist versus the communists, who were international socialists. There's really not a huge difference between them. One focuses on, well, you can be patriotic to your country and still be a socialist.
But
and the other says, no, well, we have to be international because we want to make this a world. We want to take over the whole world.
But they both tortured
yeah,
and killed
they
their
did.
constituents.
That's right. They're both
The guys
totalitarian
that are
governments.
running now,
Yeah.
the guys that are running now are totally anti-patriotism.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
you're wiping your hands on the flag.
Oh,
And you're,
absolutely correct.
like Russ pointed out yesterday, they're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're anti-wealth, you know, unless it's their own wealth.
I
You know,
would
that's
say
what I wish a lot of people would get. They fracture the country. They want everybody to be poor but them.
yes, exactly right.
And,
They're very close to the National Socialist of Germany because they want to control industry, but they don't say we have to actually own it. We just want to control it.
That's fascism.
Right, that's fascism. And so even though
Correct.
they claim to be anti-fascist, the
Then we-
policies they promote are very fascist.
But we're not going to call it that.
Right.
Well, the Democrats like Chris Murphy, Warnock, all that bunch, they're very bad people. Mark Kelly, our guy,
Oh,
they're
it's
very
unfortunate.
bad people because they can see this stuff going on. And if you're saying, oh, well, we're the big tent, and, oh, I don't know anything about what they said. But, you know.
The problem is anybody can go online and figure it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know, but it's a strategy.
Yes,
the
it
advisor
is.
sat down and said, this is what you guys got to do.
Remember,
So-
their philosophy is ordinary people are stupid, but ordinary people
True.
aren't
I
as
wish-
stupid as they think they
Oh, I certainly hope not. I
You
really,
and me
really,
both.
really hope not. And I hope they don't buy into this. And maybe, like some people have told me, it's just a small part of the country. I just don't want it to grow. We had the Communist Party years ago in the United States, and maybe it just went underground, keeps bubbling up. I don't know.
Oh yeah, well, it was big in
Um,
the universities. They've taken over the universities. DEI is just a communist strategy. It's a strategy of using race and gender as a dividing line in society rather than class. And that's what it is. It's Marxist in its formation. It was designed that way, and it's taken over the universities, and that's why they've become popular. One of the big ways they taught the people in universities to be Marxist.
Well, when I went to San Diego State, though I was a math major, like science minor, I didn't notice any of that. And I just wonder, I went to a
Yes, but
a
you went
community
before
college
they
in
took
Imperial
over.
Valley. Say again?
You went before they took over the universities, and the
Yeah.
STEM, math and science, have been the last areas, and they haven't completely taken those over yet. But they started
Well,
with the
even
English.
the community college I went to was very good in Imperial Valley. I have no idea what it's like anymore. But and we did that because we couldn't afford anything higher and more expensive.
Well, I suspect I'm a little older than you when I went to the University of Wisconsin, which is huge leftist now. The math and science were
What
very
was it
good.
like then?
The math and science were good, and once you got outside of math and science, you got over to the English department. They were pretty far left even then.
Okay. I didn't see that in my English classes at the community college level, or even the history classes that we had to take. It was I don't know, like the mandatory curriculum part.
Sure. And
And I found them to be very good, and different things that happen in the space industry where some people were laid off. And we actually had some of them teaching classes. Even in the high school in Imperial Valley, some of our science teachers went to classes during the summer where they were taught amazing things in regards to science. So
oh, sure.
was really lucky when I went to school. Patriotism, when they were young, they were all patriotic. I taught with them. I was a teacher in the Valley, and I taught with these people, and they were just really good people.
I think they started
I-
out
I-
in the major universities, the really big universities, and then they what happened is these people, and it started mostly, I think, in the English departments, and they'd get a couple of
Okay.
Marxist professors in, and then those professors would actively recruit more, and they'd do everything in their power to make sure that a conservative didn't get in, but a Marxist did, and then they'd gain more and more power, and then they spread out from English to history and other places, and gradually they took over the administration of most of the big universities.
Well, it's just sad. I'm
Oh, yeah.
grateful for my experience, but I'm just sad. Even I've recommended, though not that my family members have always listened to me, but I just said, if you've got a son or daughter that what they want to be doesn't require going to college, don't have them go and spend all that money.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
if it's something that they need to
Yeah.
go to college for to help them with what they want to become, do that. Be careful with your choice. And some have listened to me. You know, people people make their own choices, and I try not to give too much advice. But God, to spend so much money in these colleges, and it wasn't like that when I was in school either until I took classes. You know, as a teacher, you take them during the summer, and I had to just back off of some of them because the prices, when Obama
Oh,
just went sky high.
Sure.
they did. Money
go
was
to
flowing.
college.
You just had to borrow to get it. And
Another-
it's easy to borrow.
Another trend that's happening, and I think it's going to become more and more important, is you can get educated online
Yeah.
with some very fine instructors, some of the best in the world. I mean, like Hillsdale College has a program that you can get a lot of the humanities through Hillsdale online, and it's really inexpensive. I think a lot of them are free, and you
Yeah.
get excellent
Well,
courses.
And some of the tech schools and some of my family members went to like did coursework, not with the college, but with a program that helped them get a job. And my goodness, their pay is way more lucrative than anything I ever saw.
Sure.
And it, you know, just an amazing choice. And it took them less time. You know, so there's lots of opportunities for young people out there.
Yep.
And maybe in the future that will help guide these colleges to stop this liberal crap.
Well,
But
I
I don't know.
I think President Trump has already put programs in place. If you preach divisive racism in your college, you're not going to get federal money.
Well, and that's the way it needs to be, because I don't want to support that.
Right.
I don't want to support this anti-Jewish movement at all. This
Oh,
it really bothers me.
I know the
It
Department of
makes me
Justice
fearful.
is working on
So,
that.
and I'm not Jewish, but I don't care. It's just wrong.
Correct.
I don't want any of that kind of stuff going on. So anyway, I just thought I'd point it out. That's the new talking point. We're
Wow.
a big tent, but I don't know anything about what they specifically said.
Well,
You know,
They've
so-
also learned from
Or-
Mandami. Mandami wants the same thing that Trump wants for people. Wants them to be prosperous, but he wants them to get it from the government. Like, I'll give you a house, I'll give you
yeah, right.
groceries, I'll give you stuff.
You will be totally dependent on the
You know,
government.
but he's talking about that versus the Democrats are basically anti-Trump, and they don't really talk where they want to go. So I think their program is to talk more about the great things you'll get if we're in, because we'll give you allowances. We'll reduce your taxes because we're going to get it all from the rich people, the evil rich.
Yeah, people need to talk about how there's only, so many rich people, and
Yeah.
you did a good job of explaining how wealth can be created.
Yeah.
But they don't want to create wealth; they just want to steal wealth.
Oh,
And
right.
if we could get that across to people that it's wrong to steal from somebody, but they don't seem to get it. They feel like they deserve it,
Right.
Correct.
even if they didn't earn it, and that's a really bad thing to have been taught. We weren't taught that way either. Neither in
No.
school, home, TV, they all kind of went together. That you don't steal from someone.
Well, and we
So-
grew up admiring the people that lived at the top of the hill.
Oh, yes.
And say, if you work hard, you could do that. Now we look up there
Right.
and want to burn their house down, those evil people.
Well, I don't, but there are people who preach that.
I'm talking about
They've been taught that.
what they're
It's a
teaching
sad
now,
thing.
which that would be unheard of in our time. That those
Correct,
people at the top of the hill are
correct.
evil, unless you knew something about them personally. But generally, just to see if they have money and then call them evil for that is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's saddens me, and it saddens me that they turned out that way. What
Yep.
went wrong with them, and then them to preach that to people is just passing along evil, and it's just like, how did you become that way? What caused that to happen to you?
Well, it's
You know,
it's basic Marxism and progressivism. They do not have a moral base. The only moral base is we want power, and then we'll do good things, they say. But when people get power, and power is their major focus in life, things tend to go bad.
Right.
right? I think that we'll do good things is really to do good things.
It's just
for
a cover.
themselves.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right.
It's just a way to get power.
Right. Well, I hope, like you said, that Americans are not that stupid. They're going to understand. And I really think the positivity from the FIFA World Cup may help some of these people to go, now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe what they're saying is wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just hoping positivity may overrule some of this, because to me, I see it as negativity from these people. They're negative voices, hate Trump, hate America, hate this group, hate that group, and they're going to hate, like Russ was talking yesterday, they're going to hate blacks if they're conservative blacks.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so it's a party of hate this group, hate that group. And anyway, thought I'd pass that along.
Thank you, ma'am.
Big tent, just listen for it and see if you hear them saying that. Big tent. Oh, I don't know what they're talking about. I may disagree with some of the things they say, but we're a big tent, type thing.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. I appreciate the
anyway,
call.
you guys have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
I always enjoy having
It's big-
Sandy on.
she's
She's
reading,
a
she's
clear
paying
thinker.
attention. I got something here about my wife showed this to me yesterday. A Facebook post by our mayor of New York City, Zoran Mandami. He said, Texas is officially the first state in the nation to mandate Bible study. I don't know who needs to hear this, but red states are closer to Sharia law than Zoran Mandami's New York. Which is all mischaracterization and a twisting.
Yeah, I'd say.
Texas did put in a law that puts down Bible study, not Bible study, studying the Bible.
You can
In
use
other words,
Bible verses
literature.
in elementary school reading courses, I think is
Correct.
what it is.
And it's just some stuff. And you got to remember the Bible is the number one literary work in the world.
Most
It's the
popular book in the world.
It's
right?
the most referenced in other literary works of anything.
Right. And it's a significant part
And
of our
so for them
culture.
to teach some of that is absolutely required, but they're not teaching the religion. They're teaching the Bible and all that kind of stuff. But he's twisting into that it's a religion and it's not separation, which the First Amendment does not say separation.
Right.
It does
The
not.
First Amendment says that the Congress shall not establish a religion.
Right. or it's more than that, not established.
Well, there's more.
or
There's a lot
support,
more
yeah,
in the
but,
First Amendment, but
yeah, but it doesn't say it's separation or the.
no, it doesn't say that.
It
And-
says freedom of religions, but it doesn't say freedom from.
well, we can bring up the First Amendment and,
I can
and
do
read
that.
that particular part. But in terms of the about organized religion, it says that the Congress shall not establish a religion.
Right.
And that's a lot different from saying you will be free from any religion.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really short. It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Right. So
That's
it's
it. That's all. It's pretty simple.
It's two parts.
They're not going
there.
to stop you from it, and they're not going to establish one.
Right.
It doesn't say separation.
And the way that happened was that some of the colonies had established religions.
Yeah.
And the England had an established religion.
Right.
And if you were not part of that established religion, you got you were discriminated against, and you could be fined. You could be put in jail.
I think they even called it the
And so
Church
what?
of England.
Right. And so what in the Congress, when they created the Bill of Rights, they didn't want people to be able to put in jail for practicing their religion, and they didn't want Congress to establish a particular Christian religion as above everybody else.
Correct.
And so they put that in there to limit the government's ability to establish a religion.
But we hear from the left all the time. It's separation, 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 which doesn't exist.
That's not the way it's
But
worded.
they picked that verbiage up from a private letter that Thomas Jefferson sent to somebody trying to explain something.
Yeah, I think it was a Baptist group of churches.
Yeah.
And he basically said, look, there's this wall of separation.
Right.
And what he was saying is, don't worry about the government establishing a religion and forcing you into a different religion.
Well, right.
The Constitution prohibits that.
But people have taken that private letter and said, see,
Yeah, I understand.
I know. And they've been doing that forever. But that's not what it is. Read the First Amendment.
Yes.
It's not that. Of course, it goes on. It covers many subjects in a very short. I mean, it would take 800 pages to write this now.
Well, I think we are so blessed that the Constitution was drafted before we had computers. Because with computers, it would not be a simple, easy to read document. It'd be thousands of pages.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe that's it. They had to be concise because you had to handwrite it.
Well, you hand wrote it, and it was on parchment. And,
Yeah.
I mean, they had printing presses, but they didn't have typewriters. They did not have word processors. And if you read the words of the founding fathers, they're eloquent. They're very careful. They're extremely good writers.
And when it comes down to free speech, now I don't know how long it would. I mean, if you had somebody write this up today about just free speech, it would be a book. But this is just I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. It says after it talks about religion, it says or abridging the freedom of speech. That's it.
Yeah, well, I think the freedom of the press in there too.
Well, that comes on next. Or
okay.
It says comma or the freedom of the press. Semicolon, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble, comma, and petition the government for a redress of grievances.
There's a very important part of that right of people to peaceably assemble. It doesn't say you have a right to assemble and riot. You don't have a right.
Well,
to
I think
block
what they
streets.
meant by that when they said peaceably, that you could block traffic to the airport.
I don't think they meant that.
You don't think you meant
No,
that?
I don't think so. I think that would not be peaceably. That'd be breaking the law and
What?
preventing people from going about the ordinary business of
What
their
about
daily lives.
Firebombing a cop car?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
Well, then somebody's getting it wrong today.
Yes.
Okay. I got your point. Peacefully. But the communists out there right now are twisting the meaning
Yeah, that's what they do.
in order to guide you to their way of thinking so that you can become a socialist communist.
Well, they want to take power. So if they have to lie and cheat, they will do that
and
if they think it's to their advantage.
And they think capitalism has failed. And they'll do all they can to trip it up to prove it to you.
You know, what is so weird is that the most capitalist society, I'd say the United States is probably the most capitalist society in the world. There may be a couple of small countries. I don't know, maybe Switzerland.
I don't know.
Switzerland has a lot of
Not that.
socialist parts of it. I think the U.S. is the most capitalist. And for a large country, more than say, well, just to put an arbitrary number on it, more than say 10 million, I would say that the United States is the most successful society demonstrably in the world. The people are more prosperous here. They have greater freedoms here. And they live better lives here than almost anywhere else in the world. Now, you might make a case that there are some petroleum countries that, because they export lots of petroleum, they have more money per person. But I don't think there's any doubt that the U.S. is the most successful nation that's ever existed on the face of the earth.
I think most people do, but I think the communists think that's because of their location or something. I don't know, because they think
make all kinds
because
of
they think
reasons.
if you could do communists so much better than you could be better even with communists, which is crazy.
Well, it just never works.
But
we've had lots of tries.
many socialists will look at some European countries and say we could be socialists just like them and be successful. Like Switzerland has a very,
it has some socialists, but it's mostly capitalist.
well, and I've heard lectures on that before. Like Switzerland is not socialist, although many socialists say it is, and they want to be that. So I just asked artificial intelligence. Of course,
Oh, okay.
of course, their answers are always right.
We could go into a lot of discussion on that.
But let me read it. It just says, I just asked, is Switzerland a socialist country? No, is the answer. Switzerland is not a socialist country. It operates as a highly developed free market capitalist economy. While it features a robust social safety net and mandatory public-private partnership in areas like healthcare, the foundation of its economy rests on private property, business-friendly policies, and comprehensive enterprise.
You know, the other thing about Switzerland they haven't mentioned yet, maybe they will later, is that it has a federal system that puts limits on government power.
Okay.
They have the cantons have very specific powers that they have, and the federal government has very specific and limited powers that it has. So it's a different way of limiting governmental power, but it works in Switzerland very well. And we also have our Constitution limits governmental power, and I think that's part of the key to our success.
Yeah, but the left quite often will say Switzerland's socialist. I mean, they'll want to say that just so
Sure.
it's pretty good. So I would imagine it won't take long once they find out that Grok disagrees with them that they'll fix Grok.
Yeah, maybe.
That
Well, might happen.
There's a big bias in artificial intelligence.
There is,
particularly politically.
Oh, absolutely.
I was listening to Gutfeld discuss that last night.
Good.
On his show, and Gutfeld said he would purposely put in there questions about Donald Trump, and there would be all this negativity.
Yeah.
So he will say, "Well, you're biased. Well, what about Obama or something?"
Yeah.
And they would put in all these glowing things. Well, I think you're biased because you said this about Obama, but he had the same thing as Trump and like that, and AI would agree with him that it was biased and that there's some imperfections in AI. And stuff like that. They don't disagree.
No, it's exactly correct.
I haven't worked with it that much to know that.
I've noticed that too, and I'm using Grok, which is I think there are many different variations of these large language models, and they're not all the same by any means. But I would ask Grok a question on a subject I am a subject matter expert on, and they would say this, and then I'd say, well, what about this and what about that? And they'd say, oh yeah, that's right, we're wrong on that. Okay, and then eventually they'd come around to what I want them to, but I don't know if it's actually that the model corrected itself or if they just tried to figure out a way to please me.
Well, what Gutfeld did was ask open-ended questions like, tell me about the Trump administration, tell me about the Biden administration.
Yeah, right.
Or something like that. And they put that, he's been accused of this and he's had been a lot of controversy and all that. And then Obama was glowing. They said, well, wait a minute. And then when you get them to dig down,
yes,
they admit it.
That's exactly what
I haven't done any of that myself. I'm just telling you what he said. I read this article that started off with how Americans engineered, unlocked the impossible beneath the Gulf of America. So a couple things about that opening. I love things that are impossible because then they solve them, and they put Gulf of America, which means it's not a liberal
Yeah.
writer,
Okay.
and we can identify that, I think, pretty well.
Sure.
That it's not somebody liberal, but somebody that's positive. And what they've unlocked is some of the and it's Palagine, some area under it's in sandstone layers, geological layers of shale, deep rock, just off the coastline, but it's in deep water. It's 100 miles offshore, and it contains tens of billions of barrels of oil that they thought was unobtainable.
It shows the magic of the
10 of
capitalist
billions.
system.
Yeah, and but it says the reservoir pressures are up to 20,000. I'm sorry, 20,000 pounds per square inch. I can't imagine that kind of pressure. Which, of course, if you drill into that and oil starts coming out, I don't know how you stop it.
Well, you got to understand, Russ, that this is in deep water and
Yeah.
probably in a fairly deep well.
So everything's under pressure.
So it's all under tremendous
Okay.
pressure.
All right.
And then it has to overcome that pressure going all the way up. By the time it gets up to the top, it may not be under much pressure.
But I mean, if you drill into it, I mean, they had that one leak in the Gulf. It took them weeks to get it capped
Right.
because it was in deep water and they didn't have a way to do it.
Well, they got it eventually.
They did, and of course they're starting to tap this now.
Sure. Makes sense.
They're going to do this, and it's Transocean developed. And I thought Transocean. Can you say trans?
Yeah.
Sure,
Sure. That's politically correct.
What is Transocean? Developed the first drill ship in the world. I wonder if they knew trans would become a different meaning when they
Yeah,
called their
probably
company trans. You're working for that trans company.
Yeah, it has to do with drilling. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Transocean developed the first drill ship in the world built to work in these high pressure conditions. So the trans work in high pressure. Their Deepwater Titan and Deepwater Atlas are currently operating in the Gulf of America. Trend-setting engineers designed subsea systems and manifolds capable of operating reliably at pressures once considered beyond reach.
Okay. That
Other
makes
offshore
sense.
companies have developed similar equipment that has unlocked the Paleogene, and that stretches on for states.
So well, they're talking this is a huge reservoir of fossil fuels, essentially.
They're talking tens of billions of barrels. Now, Mike, of course, I'm always curious as to how much is it. They don't give you a lot of detail because what the oil industry works on sometimes is known reserves.
Right, exactly.
Something's known reserved, and that's kind of tough. And I'll get back to that. Let me talk to Mike since I left the phone on. Mike, good morning.
You're a mistake.
Mike, I'm living with it.
We like to talk to you, Mike.
Yeah, we do.
I know. And I enjoy talking with you boys as well. So here's my question for both of you.
Yeah.
Talking about socialist countries.
Yeah.
Do either of you or both of you consider Canada to be a socialist country?
I do not, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
It's transitional. There's hardly any countries in the world that are absolutely pure capitalist or absolutely pure socialist. Canada is more socialist than us by a good bit.
Grok says there's still a capitalist free market mixed economy. Features strong socialist safety nets. So universal health care and public pensions.
But you could also just as easily say that the United States has many socialist programs, socialist
yeah, we do.
parts of government.
Yep.
No question.
But we don't consider ourselves a socialist country, do we?
No.
Well,
except New York City.
I think one of the differentiations is whether the government owns the productive capacity, of like people who drill for oil can still make a lot of money drilling for oil. The government doesn't own them.
Maxine Waters wanted to nationalize
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Remember that? That was a scary thought.
Okay, but is that socialism or communism? When the
Well,
government
it's
owns it?
socialism as it was classically defined was taking over the government owning the means of production.
And so what's the classic definition of communism?
Well, that communism considered itself to be a form of socialism, and but it was harder core. Socialism didn't necessarily means that the government controlled all speech. that it was totalitarian. That's not necessarily part of socialism, but I think it's part of what we call communism.
See, and I see it, I guess, backwards. I see that socialism is communism light.
Yeah, I agree. It's a step on the way.
Yeah. It's a good transition.
I wouldn't say it's good, but it is a transition.
It is an effective transition.
I think that's the way. I think what we found out, Mike, is that the idea of a safety net works and helps keep people safe enough that the idea of taking over everything belonging to the government becomes less attractive.
Well, I just got a definition that confuses me. Can I read it to you?
Go ahead.
Socialism and communism are closely related economic and political philosophies that reject capitalism, but they differ fundamentally in scope, implementation, and ultimate goals. In short, socialism is an economic pathway, whereas communism is both an ideology and a final utopian societal goal.
It's probably a pretty good way to describe it.
I don't understand.
That's why we hate. That's why we hate commies so much.
Yeah, we hate them.
I think the ideology there is very critical, and that is that you demand that everybody believe, or at least say they believe, in a communist totalitarian society. Socialism, was originally considered to be an economic system and not a totalitarian one, but that's the way it turns out. You can't take over the whole economy without becoming totalitarian.
In Marxist theory, socialism is viewed as the transitional phase between capitalism and communism.
Yeah. Correct.
And see, that's another word. I already lost it. I'm driving and trying to find something for you. John Wayne quote, or the meme at least, with John Wayne's picture on it. But what was the T word you just used?
Transitional.
Transition?
Yeah, it's a transition.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but
also
between capitalism and communism, you take a step to socialism first, and then you go full bore communism.
That's not
Yeah,
what
I think it
happened in Russia, by the way, when they became the Soviet Union.
Russia's not.
They went directly from sort of proto-capitalist feudal to full-blown communism. There was no intermediate step.
Okay, so what is totalitarianism?
It means the government controls everything. It means that if you speak out against the government, they'll throw you in jail or kill you.
But Russia's not.
Like communism to me.
That is communist. I mean, well, the Nazis were totalitarian. China today is totalitarian.
In the National Socialist Party?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the National Socialists were competing with the International Socialists. And in World War II, the International Socialists won.
Yep. And the
But
National Socialists wanted at least.
Well,
Hitler
they wanted not capitalism. They wanted nationalism to be part. But if you look at the Soviet Union, there was a lot of nationalism in the Soviet Union. There's a lot of nationalism in China today.
Sure. And it's not a true communist country
Oh.
anymore. They've gone capitalist to a certain extent.
Well,
But anyway, back to let me finish with Nazism. It's Nazism, World War II, Nazism and communism. They're two heads of the same frickin' coin. They're just, one has a picture of an eagle and one has a picture of Lincoln or whoever. And
hammer and sickle.
They're very, yeah, there you go. You can choose whatever picture to put on the coin, but they're so similar. And National was wanting the white Aryan, master race to be
Correct.
in charge of everything, and communism was the workers, the people, the whole world.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
that was stated. Yes. But I'd say that communist China today is very racist, and they want the Han people to be dominant in the world.
All right, let me read you this quote that
Go ahead.
me and my sheriff often did, as John Wayne in one of his war movies, Green Beret, I think. It says, "In my day, you were either pro or America or a commie. You can call yourself liberal, progressive, or socialist, but you're still nothing more than a rotten commie."
Wow.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Thank
All
you.
right, I gotta go.
Thank you,
I
sir.
gotta go deliver this order, so I'll let you guys carry on, and I'll listen in.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You'll probably irritate me at some point, and I'll call you back.
I'll put it on hold. All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Wait a minute. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. I got to put that on hold for a minute. Let me see if I've got it hung up first. I do.
Well, now since John Wayne's comment, we have a lot more evidence, and
Of
we can see
commies?
that this
Mm.
socialism taking over all the means of production doesn't work very well,
But-
and totalitarian regimes are not fun to live under.
No, and Russia, they may say, I don't know if they're communist, but they consider themselves a republic. On paper, they're a republic. but
Russia
that's not
now
reality.
is more authoritarian than
It is.
totalitarian, but
It
it's a pretty hardcore authoritarian.
We were talking about this oil reserve off of Texas and in the Gulf
Yeah,
of
in the
America,
Gulf of
and everything,
America.
which is tens of billions of barrels. They don't know. And we started to talk about known reserves. Now, known reserves is something that the oil company comes up with, like a known reserve.
Well, I can tell. I know a little bit about it. I took a
Okay, go
petroleum engineering course 50 years ago.
All right.
And what it is that you've done cores, you've drilled cores, and you know how much oil you have in those cores, and then you extrapolate it over the area where you've actually done the drilling and have the cores, and say, if I take out how much I can take out that I know I can get out right now, that's known reserves.
Which is usually such a small,
It's a fraction of what's
small
usually available.
In fact,
yeah.
North Dakota at the Vulcan field in North Dakota,
Right.
the known reserve up there was like 20 million barrels, 50 million barrels. I don't know. It's something really small. And yet all these companies flew up there immediately, started drilling 20, 30 years ago. I don't know, whatever.
Well,
and they've pulled out billions and billions of barrels.
Well, it's
where
because you know what the geologic formation where the oil is, you know how big that is, but that's not known reserves. That's how big the formation is. If you haven't drilled and showed exactly what's available over that area, it's not known.
But some of those companies know they don't put billions of dollars
Yeah,
in.
exactly right. No,
They know. And so I'm always curious when on the news they'll say, well, Saudi Arabia has the largest known reserves on earth or something, like that. They say,
yeah,
well, that's known reserves. That doesn't mean they have the most oil.
correct.
That just means they've been tested. So they don't put a known
So on this stuff in the
reserve.
Gulf, you're saying tens of billions.
Tens of billions.
I'm
But
wondering.
let me tell you about a smaller one. And have you heard of Green River Reserve?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Green River covers Colorado and a few adjoining states up there. It's a huge area that I think Teddy Roosevelt put as a on hold. You can't drill it because he wanted to save it for the Navy because they might need the oil.
Okay.
Well, right now, and they couldn't really get it easily out of that shale anyway. Back then they didn't really have that shale technology.
They didn't have fracking back then.
Here's what the experts are saying. This isn't known reserves, but the experts are saying there's 3.5 to 4 trillion barrels of oil.
Whew.
But they say realistically, we know we can only get 1.5 trillion.
Oh, okay, because of the way you get it out.
But yeah, but their best estimate is that worst case scenario is 1.5 trillion.
Okay.
That would be 200 years at our known. I mean, right now, 200 years of what we use at the United States.
Yeah.
We use about 20 million barrels a day, or 7.5 billion barrels a year, which even if we take the low end of the Green River, 200 years.
And that's not counting what's in the Gulf or
No.
other places or up in Alaska.
But that's at the worst. But we're going to probably get more like enough to cover another 250 years, like our anniversary is coming up
Yeah,
right now.
probably, I think.
And really, and that's at our current level of use. But our current level of use isn't a high water mark. We've actually used less now than we have in the past.
Right. And our population is not expanding.
No.
We're just at hold even, and we're probably going to decrease a little.
Well, and as technology changes and batteries and solar and all that,
Exactly.
we'll probably use less and less. We've got enough oil right now, just in that one area, to cover 250 years, if that's what we went after. But they're not even drilling there.
Right.
We don't even touch it. And yet this, at least on the map, if you look at the map, the size of this geological of the Palogene is much larger than the Green River.
Oh, sure. And we have, and that's just in the continental US.
Yeah.
There are huge areas of the world which
Arctic.
have not been explored.
Arctic is,
Arctic.
we know that it's much more than any place else.
How about the Antarctic?
I mean,
I
Antarctic, I'm
remember
sorry.
taking a geology course, and it's 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a ways back there. And the professor was talking about doing exploratory work in Antarctica. And he said the big problem that we faced in Antarctica was to make sure we did a drill where we knew we would not hit oil.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought, wow, there's a lot down there.
And you know how many drill in Antarctica right now? None.
Very little, almost
I don't
none.
think anybody does.
I don't think anybody.
I think there's been rules against it.
There is,
a
but there's
compact or something.
they do a lot of like ice cores,
Right.
which is reasonable, and there probably are exploratory drilling going on where they're just trying to figure out the geology of the area, what it looks like.
Well, I mean, for me, growing up wanting to drive a car and all that, I remember seeing stories all the time of we're going to run out of oil.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
And
and
we're going to run out of oil.
I have kind of a personal take on that because my children have an well, it's not exactly. He'd be like a great uncle.
Yeah.
And he was, I would say at the time, he was probably the preeminent petroleum geologist in the world. And he wrote a biography. It was probably partly ghost written. It was near the end of his life. And in it, he said, we're going to run out of oil. And he bought into the peak oil. And it's true. Eventually, if we keep using oil at large rates, eventually we will run out.
There's a question about that too.
But is it going to be 250 years, 500 years, 1,000 years? We don't know.
At our current consumption, it'll be 250 for that
that one area, right? Now, I think what will happen is that we'll start using less and less oil for vehicles, and we'll start using it more as chemical feedstock to produce other things we need.
So we may have to find a way to dispose of oil after a while.
Maybe
too much of it. Because we don't need it anymore based on other technologies that are coming in, like these pocket nuclear reactors.
Yeah, those modular nuclears are a big thing. I think they're the way to go to produce distributed energy in the United States. And Musk talks about going into space to get energy. He says, look, the Earth only gets, and I forget the exact number, but it's some tiny, like a trillionth of the energy that is put out by the sun.
Yeah.
And, and we don't use but a tiny fraction of what hits us.
Right.
And that energy was pretty much what produced the most of the oil originally in ancient seas. So there's a lot of energy out in the universe if we put forth an effort to go get it. And Musk is talking about ways to do it. And if anybody can start that, he can.
Well, yes. And I don't know how that works, but we know it's coming. On the pocket reactors, we've talked about it before.
Yeah, the small modular nuclear reactors.
I want to talk about it. Let me take his phone call first. You're on the air.
So it didn't fall for the other phone trick, huh?
I did.
Or you did.
I know. I have it listed now. I know.
You know both my phones.
I do both. I do. It's I've got it in my table of contents here. Yeah.
I'll have to start using my daughter's phone and my wife's phone.
It won't take me long to identify it.
Especially when you answer and you hear
but
my
I
voice.
still answer it, buddy.
I gotcha. So you stirred the pot a little bit.
Okay.
This oil and a couple of things. One is, we're talking about, maybe you guys were just mentioning about maybe using less oil for vehicles. Well, even if we transition over to electric vehicles like that truck you were talking about, or a lot more hybrid vehicles like my Prius, you're still, to produce the electricity, what are you going to do? Is solar and wind is not, or even hydroelectric from Washington, where I'm from, they use a lot of hydroelectric power.
And probably the best way is nuclear.
Be enough. What?
I said the best way is nuclear.
Yes, I agree, and it's clean.
Yes.
Too. But it's not politically correct. It's not socialist acceptable.
That's changing.
Cool. Good. And I think it might help to get 3 Mile Island back online.
Well, they're doing that.
Yeah, to
I
produce
know
it for a data center.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, the next point I want to make about running out of oil, and Russ, you may have heard this, or maybe you were alluding to it a moment ago, because there is a train of thought, a school of thought, a scientific group that believes the Earth is still making more.
Right.
We're never going to run out.
I hadn't gotten to that yet, but there's been some oil wells they thought were all tapped out that all of a sudden had more oil in them.
Well, that's true. Yep. I've looked at that a bit. I don't find that their geology persuasive. But even if all the Earth was made of nothing but oil lower than a mile underground, we'd still, if we used enough of it, would run out of it someday. But
unless it's making more.
Well, you can't make more than what exists. I mean, I said,
who says that God Almighty didn't produce a giant floating through the space ship with its own renewable energy, and it's producing more oil just through the natural process?
Well, my premise started with the Earth was nothing but oil. So you can't produce more than all the Earth being oil.
Okay.
I mean, you still use it up.
Mile.
You still use it up at some point.
Well, but my point is, you're not going to use it up because just keep making more, and until the Earth explodes gets hit by a meteorite bigger than the one that killed the dinosaurs.
Well, it's like saying we use up all the water. It just recycles and it rains again.
Well,
correct.
Except
the water doesn't go anywhere. It's still on the
planet. Don't burn water.
Yeah, you do.
So you can convert
we've got plenty of resources for energy.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to use oil for more important stuff than just burning it eventually.
I think that we have been extremely blessed.
Oh, yeah.
By loving and caring and horribly disappointed in his children, Father God, who created this spaceship flying through the air and put everything in place. I mean, it's just incredible to me that people can actually be atheists. Agnostic, I get it. Okay, you're not sure, you really don't know which way, but to say you're just atheist, it's absolutely beyond reason to me, just ignoring all of the facts, all of the evidence, and just belligerent.
Well, how about this, Mike? Maybe God has created humanity to be his instrument to spread life throughout the universe.
Sure.
Maybe.
I know you haven't, I don't remember, Dean, if you were part of the conversation or if you listened when I was talking about a lot of the LDS Mormon stuff, because that's the religion I grew up in, but I don't practice anymore.
Yeah, I remember some of it anyway.
Okay. They believe, the LDS Church doctrine believes that this planet is just one of God's creations, one, and that there are many planets there, and I don't know, the possibility, I mean, it's just an ongoing process. It gets into controversial subjects, but many believe that the Bible, it says, you know, we are as God once was, or God once was as we are, that there's a level of heaven. LDS people believe in more than one level of heaven, and it's based on your comportment in life to where you end up. But those that go to the highest level eventually become as God himself and procreate spirit children and create planets and earth, and it's an ongoing process. And that's Mormon doctrine. That's not just my belief.
I think you are correct from what I've read about it, and it's an interesting way to formulate your belief structure so that it makes sense. I mean, I think it avoids a lot of problems with other Christian doctrine, and I avoid it all simply by saying that's way above my pay grade.
There you go.
Yep. And that's that you cannot have faith. You can have belief, but you cannot have faith if you have knowledge. I mean, there's.
I think you have both.
Yeah. Why can't you have
Well,
both?
you can have knowledge in some things. I'm talking about, though, knowledge of.
We are limited creatures.
Does God exist? If you know God exists, you no longer have faith anymore. You know. It's no longer a belief. You know. If you believe, you're gonna maybe live your life a little bit differently because you're hoping you'll find out in the next life that your belief was true.
I don't want to. I mean, personally, I'll let Russ handle all the theocratic questions.
Is that right? Blind leading
well,
the
now
blind
I
here.
the pot back for you. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Take care. All right, I'm going to put it on
I
hold.
should have said theological, not theocratic. Sorry.
Yeah. And I put it. I just asked artificial
you asked the
intelligence.
AI. Okay.
I said, did Christ have faith? It says whether Jesus had faith is a subject of deep debate among theologians. The answer largely depends on whether you view faith as a reliant trust in the unseen or a complete direct knowledge. So Mike wasn't far off base.
Well, they're saying that's a question of how
Yeah.
you define faith, and I think that in the from the reading of the Bible that I have, they say faith is believing in something you can't see or prove.
Yeah. So many argue that Jesus did not have a possessed faith because he was
Well-
divine and possessed perfect knowledge.
But it's one of those mysteries because he was both, under Christian theology, Jesus was both God and man at the same time.
And says faith requires believing in things unseen. So Mike wasn't wrong.
Well, I'm not saying he was. I think it's, like I said, that's a question way above my pay
But
grade.
don't tell him that.
Well, he can, Mike is capable of doing whatever he
I'm
wants.
not going to tell him. The SMRs, the small
Modular
modular reactors. Before Mike interrupted me.
Yeah.
When I talked to our representative the other day about, of course, it started off on these data centers, on how we're going to empower them and all that stuff, and he told me the small modular reactors, which are nuclear, are on the list and all that. And I said, well, is that even legal in Arizona? Meaning, like, is
correct?
Have we passed legislation that allows?
I'm not sure that
we have.
The state, does the state have power over that?
I would assume so.
Well, I thought the
Because
nuclear might have been, the federal government might say we cover nuclear stuff.
Well, they probably do, but we can have a regulation on whether it's allowed in a neighborhood next to the school or whatever. But he says no, we've got a green light. It's all gone. It's all done. We can put them in, and there's already been future plans. We don't have anything contractually done yet, but when I talked about it, Edward sent me a list of those that have already been built because they're already contracted and they're being placed. And there's like 10 of them
in
Utah.
Okay,
Texas.
in the United States.
Oh, not in Arizona.
Okay, well, I thought you might have meant 10 in Arizona. So,
but for those that are already being constructed,
right,
there was like 10 of them, I think. And then for those that are being planned but won't start construction until next year, there's another 10 or so. There's like 20 of them going to be coming in the next few years. I really had no idea.
I think this is the way to go because it greatly strengthens the ability of the grid to survive harsh impacts. If
Now-
you've got a significant nuclear distributed system that doesn't rely on another source to start up, that means our grid is much more resilient.
Well, and something because the data centers are talking, they need to build enough of them that would cause us to have to double the size of our
There's
output. you
Talk
know.
about that. Now Musk says, we'll just put them in space.
Well, there's problems with that, but I think some of those problems are being solved right now.
Right, they're working on that.
And that's probably going to be it. But in the short term, they're going to be put in space. I mean, that may take a few years before we start doing that, but they're still going to want to be putting them on.
Oh
the-
yeah,
in
absolutely.
here. And one of the big things was power. The other one's water. I think the water's been taken care of at least.
Well, you can use a recirculating water system to
Well, actually,
get rid of your heat.
They're using a gel that's more effective.
There's that too. I've heard of that.
And the other one was power. But they're saying the nuclear, and Mike said that, look, the plans right now, there's one going on in New Mexico that they're putting in a nuclear small reactor in there, and it's a 5 megawatt, and the data center will only need as much as 3.
Well, and the
So
excess goes onto the grid.
Yeah, and it's going to be helping that community and everything else.
Right. Now, my understanding of these small modular reactors is that no single piece is bigger than what you can transport on a cargo container.
Correct.
And so then when they need to be refueled or refurbished or whatever, you just put them on cargo containers or put them on transport, send them back to the factory and get them
Right.
done.
Right.
So
Yeah,
you don't
you
have to worry about, spent fuel rods or
You
anything.
just exchange them.
Yep.
Take the old one away, give me a new one.
Yeah.
But it's like 25 years or something.
I don't remember. I've heard various time spans all the way from 5 to 25. So I don't know
Yeah.
how long and it probably depends on the design, and there's probably different designs out there. There's the other thing is that these are all my understanding uranium reactors, fission uranium reactors. And there's a way to use thorium that is supposed to be a very clean source of nuclear power that nobody seems to be doing yet. Thorium is one of the theoretical systems we can use instead of uranium. And then there's nuclear fusion instead of fission. And there are several projects around the United States that are putting up pilot plants that are to be based on nuclear fusion instead of fission.
Oh, yeah. That's coming, but
That's
I don't
right.
know when.
Well,
I mean,
and-
they've
and
been working
that-
on it for decades.
And that potentially has, 1,000 times as much power potential because it's based on helium and tritium, some of them have a little different chemistry, but basically they're based on elements that are much more common than uranium or even thorium.
I asked, again, my artificial intelligence, the lifespan of a small modular reactor. It says it's designed to have a technical lifespan of 60 to 80 years, with some advanced designs targeting up to 100 years of operation. But then it talks about refueling. Refueling cycle, unlike conventional reactors, they need refueling every 1 to 2 years.
Oh,
Well, the conventional ones. But
okay.
SMRs typically require fueling only 3 to 7 years. Sealed cores. Some specific SMR designs are sealed units that can operate continuously for 20 to 30 years
Okay.
without needing refueling or internal maintenance.
Yeah. So
So
it's
it
pretty
depends
close to what
on-
we were thinking.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on who's
The
making
design,
it, the design, and all that
right.
stuff. But even 3 to 7 years to refuel it, it's not
Well,
outrageous.
No, I mean, if it would be designed in such a way that shipping it back to the factory would not be difficult.
No,
You'd have the new system come up, get close, and then you'd designate, okay, this week this will not be producing power.
but those are coming quickly to us.
They are, and I think it's a good thing.
and it would not hurt our rates to have a SMR put here
No, just the
And-
opposite, I would think.
and have a nuclear power plant. I mean, have a data center with it. But they're putting these things in normally. that can produce more energy than they're using.
Right.
And I don't know what that does to the power company. I have no idea.
Well, if they're a steady source of power, one of the beauties of a nuclear reactor is it doesn't stop producing power at night.
Well,
You know?
correct.
Or
But
it doesn't stop when the wind stops blowing.
they can adjust it.
Exactly.
In other words, but I don't know about the SMRs, can they? I mean, you kind of just
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay,
they're clearly
so you
they're
can put out
adjustable.
5 watts, but only need 3 watts right now.
Well, megawatts,
I'm
I'd
sorry,
say.
megawatts.
There's probably a minimum level they need to put out just to keep
I
operating.
would assume so. I would assume
and
they
that
have
might
to.
be 1 megawatt, maybe a tenth of a megawatt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're a reliable source of power, and
We'll find out.
and that's one of the biggest things. And the other problem is that if you have a huge number of sources, if you've got tens of thousands of sources, then it gets hard to regulate them to make the grid all function properly. But
Yeah.
even a small modular nuclear reactor puts out quite a lot of power. We're talking megawatts. So it's not so hard to regulate because you have direct control over it.
The Gulf of America, and we were talking about Gulf of America, when they take oil out of it, and they take oil out of it right now, there's offshore oil rigs.
Sure, there's a lot of them out there.
They produce 15% of U.S. oil production, the total amount.
That's a significant amount.
It is, but what they're talking about here is it could be much more.
Oh yeah,
if they get
that's
this,
that's what I gathered from what you read.
yeah. It's amazing how much oil we have really available to us.
It is.
And that's what Trump has been like, drill baby drill, just get it done.
Well, and as I
Because
mentioned,
really we can stabilize the oil for the entire world. In fact, some countries
we are in the
we already have.
process, and the Venezuelan
Mhm.
oil is the production there is continuing to increase.
Yeah, last I looked, it was like 1.2 million barrels a day.
And the more that the more that Venezuela
Mhm.
produces, the more that we produces, the less we're dependent on Gulf of Hormuz.
Which country
Or
just
Persian
got
Gulf.
out of OPEC? OPEC lost what,
Oh yeah,
Kuwait or something? Well, somebody pulled out. Oman,
UAE, I'm trying
UAE,
to
maybe
remember.
somebody pulled out because they do these pacts within OPEC to continue to manipulate the price. So they
They basically said you're not working for us anymore. It's not working.
yeah. So they dropped it so they can sell whatever they want, which could create a price war and cause a good for us, bad for them. Maybe
We've seen the price of oil has already dropped to about half of what it was at the peak, hasn't it?
yeah. Brent is between 72, 75. And even with even when the rockets and the drones and everything started flying again because Iran needed some attention, it didn't go up.
Well, it did go up some, and then
Well-
I mean, oh, you mean just in the last couple
The
days?
last couple days,
Right, correct. And I driving in this morning, I noticed at the Arco station it was 3.79,
Yeah.
which is way below. It was like $1 more than that at the peak.
Brent's still between 72 and 75. So it's right now.
Well, it takes a while for this stuff. I mean, it doesn't take a very
Oh.
long time, but it takes a little while to percolate.
Well, the day the war, the kinetic energy with Iran started, it took like 2 days and it was up to 100 plus, 110, 120.
And now it's dropped significantly in just a week, maybe.
But I wonder what Iran thinks of that. I mean, they sent a drone out to break the ceasefire.
I don't think they have central command control.
No, but I wonder what the people thought that did it. Well, that we'll spike the oil and get their attention. It didn't spike the oil.
No, and I think that's probably what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing. It didn't spike the oil. And every day, every week, every month that continues on, Venezuela oil production keeps going up, and our oil production keeps going up, and that makes the Gulf of Hormuz, not the Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, excuse me, less and less and less important.
Correct. I mean, eventually we'll just tell Iran, sure, you can control it because nobody cares.
I don't think we'll say that because we don't want to give Iran that sort of power.
No.
But I think it'll just become less and less important, so
Yeah.
nobody will care.
But you know who else? I mean, everybody's building. I'm saying everybody that's a Gulf state in that area, Saudi Arabia.
There are several
Kuwait,
pipelines
They're-
being built.
They had some already.
Right.
It's not adequate, so they're building more. Saudi's building more. UAE's building more. Oman's
Correct.
building more.
Correct.
and they're looking at creative ways to get it out of there and not have to use that strait,
Right.
because no one likes Iran.
They are very unpopular amongst the surrounding
Well-
states. All the surrounding states view them as a threat.
The surrounding states want to feed people, create an income, have people working, and have industry.
Right.
Iran has an ideology,
Well, and its
And-
ideology calls for
killing people.
catastrophism all over the world until apocalypse, and
And
then the 13th Mahdi or whatever he is comes back and the world ends.
Well, but the UAE saying, look, you're interrupting my hotel guest.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a huge change in this that happened under the Trump administration is the change in the administration of Saudi Arabia, where the old king died and the new crown prince took over, and he's much more friendly, he's friendly to the United States, and he is a moderate.
Trump, is said he stopped 8 wars and all that stuff. The way he stopped it was with business. Let's do business and make money instead of war.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially Trump
And
has said
that's
that.
what he did in Venezuela.
Right.
I'm going to take this guy out of your way. He's gone for crimes. You can run it. I won't bomb you as long as you do business. And they say, okay, we'll do business. Okay, then we'll send you money.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, well,
It's not going to work for an ideology roadblock.
not if you want to bring about the end of the world.
No, we can't do that. It takes away our fun. I want to talk about France for a little bit. People are dying over there because it's got so hot.
Oh, I was appalled when I looked at the statistics.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And unfortunately, it's old people. It scares
Well,
me.
it's anybody who's more vulnerable to heat stress. I mean, so it's old people, people who have certain diseases. It's
Well,
people who are debilitated. And in all of Europe, not just France, we're talking about 50,000 people a year die because they
Heat.
don't have adequate air conditioning.
well, and some people on social media have said, these French guys are ridiculous. Come on, put in an air conditioner. And
Well, they
and
can't. They don't have the power.
well, they probably don't. But they're mostly nuclear. They do have
Well, France is also supplying Germany with power now
Yeah.
because Germany shut down its own nuclear,
Don't
shut
they
down its
care-
coal plants.
don't they care about their own people?
No.
Maybe not. Well, do you know what the temperature actually reached a record high for them? Do you know what it actually got to make those
Well,
people?
let's see. France, I'm going to say, I'll just take a guess. 94.
104.
Whoa, 104 is pretty hot
104.
for France.
Yeah, and but people died.
Oh, yeah.
We give 104. Say, wow, it's not that bad today.
But we have air conditioning.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody has air
Yeah, they
conditioning
do.
here.
And that's the point. We all do. And apparently 48 people in France drowned while attempting to stay cool.
Sure. They go to bodies of water because the water is cooler.
And nobody told them they couldn't swim.
Well, and the accidents happen.
Ugh.
They get in some place where they can't get out. They're not as strong as they thought they might be. There's all kinds of ways that can happen. Yes.
Well, apparently the mayor of Paris is kind of peeved about the statements that why don't you guys put on some air conditioning or something on social media. So Audrey Pulvar, the mayor or deputy mayor, dear America journalists and social media influencers, for days, some of you have been criticizing and making fun of Paris because the city does not have AC in every room. Oh my God, this is so rich. As the second largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions in the world, you bear a significant amount of responsibilities for global warming and the consequences we in France are experiencing. Your cities, 90% air conditioned, are not unrelated to this. In Paris, we take responsibility because they're smug. Paris has implemented measures to fight air pollution, develop energy efficient renovation for the city, arguing that air conditioning contributes and aggravates the problem of global warming. If every American city made the same ecological transition efforts as Paris and many European cities, believe me, the whole world would be better off. So please, enough with the lectures. Just start doing your part. Best regards.
yeah, it's just full of false assumptions.
Yes, it is.
I mean, his view of reality is just
Her.
wrong.
Yeah,
Or her view of
Audrey.
reality it's just wrong. And the idea that American air conditioning contributes to global warming, no, not really. If you look at the amount of energy involved, it's tiny. It's an insignificant amount
Not
for
enough.
global warming.
Right. Well, she goes on to defend her efforts to combat climate change. She's a climate change warrior.
Well,
And
yeah, but it's all wrong. She's just
here's
wrong
but he-
factually.
but she doesn't know the numbers, and don't give her the numbers because they don't want to hear it. Says if we and in her combating climate change, if we hadn't done so, the situation today would be much worse.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes. There is
No, you're
still
wrong.
there's still much to be done. No, the situation is not ideal, but perhaps we would be more appropriate for one of the countries most responsible for the problem not to lecture those who are trying to find solutions for their own population.
They're trying to find a solution for a problem that isn't real.
But she believes it. I
Yeah,
think.
she
You know,
believes
I mean,
it,
for her
exactly.
to write like that, she thinks that
I mean, you can be a very smart person and still make really bad decisions.
she thinks she's saving the planet.
Yeah, correct. If your assumptions are not true.
And if we hadn't done this, there'd been more than people die.
I don't know. That's not. I don't.
Well,
believe
that's what
correct.
she believes.
She
but,
believes it, but that's how she validates her position that way.
I don't think I want to go to France right now. It seems to be a little hot and smell bad.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be an interesting place to go.
If I went to a hotel in France, would it not have an air conditioner?
Maybe not, but maybe the ones that cater to Americans have air conditioners.
I mean, I'm spoiled.
I mean, you know, there's this whole there's this specialist tourism, which is like catastrophe tourism. You know, you go where a war is because you want to see what's happening up front,
Right.
or you go to a place where there's been an earthquake or whatever. And so, you know, France might be an interesting place if you're in good health. You know, you might go there and say, "Wow, are all these old people really dying here?" Yes, they are. I mean, when you talk about 50,000, now I'm talking about all of Europe, which has about 450 million people in population. And you have 50,000 of them dying because they don't have sufficient air conditioning. Well, that's a major problem. I mean, that's about 3.5 to 4 times as many, all the murders we have in the United States altogether every year.
I just got news sent to me by Edward, my fact checker. You know, the Supreme Court was supposed to rule today on birthright citizenship, which they did. The Supreme Court shut the door on President Trump's birthright citizenship restrictions on Tuesday, ruling that his banner immigration policy is unconstitutional. Chief Justice Roberts, joined by all 3 liberal judges and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, wrote the 14th Amendment guarantees automatic citizenship for nearly all, what is nearly all?
Well,
children born in U.S.
diplomats.
soil, even those born to parents in the country unlawfully.
Wow.
The trouble is, there is scant evidence for this dramatically revisionist view, Roberts wrote. A 6th Justice, Barrett Kavanaugh, disagreed but voted to block Trump's order under federal law.
Whew.
The 3 remaining conservative judges, Thomas, Alito, Neil Gorsuch, signed with Trump. I am not sure that today's opinion will stand the test of time, Thomas wrote. The decision devalues American citizenship. The decision marks one of the Supreme Court's most stinging blows against Trump's long-term agenda, nullifying a key prong of the president's immigration crackdown. Trump made his birthright citizenship executive order on day 1 policies upon retaking the White House. It would require a baby born in U.S. soil to have at least one parent with citizenship or permanent legal status. Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a bit of a setback for sure.
Well, Trump expected it. I mean, he wrote that he expected it. He said, you know, the Supreme Court is...
I'm not too surprised that Roberts would do it. And I expected the 3
Amy,
leftist judges.
Yeah.
Barrett, you know, she kind of swings a little bit. She's mostly conservative.
Well,
and then Kavanaugh, I'm a little surprised he went along with it.
Trump just wrote this, I think yesterday, about the birthright, knowing it was coming up. He said, this decision by the Supreme Court is a very big one. They'll probably rule against me because they seem to like doing that. Happy with some, unhappy. I'm not happy with some of the decisions.
Mostly they've ruled for Trump.
Like 40 to 1. You know, it's like
well,
huge.
This would be, you know, it'd probably make it like 40 to 2.
I don't know what he means by they've been ruled against him. I mean,
well, they have in a few cases.
Yeah,
but mostly they've ruled for him.
Yeah, they have.
And that's because Trump, frankly, is more cognizant of following the Constitution than most presidents in my lifetime.
Yeah. All right. Here's what a Fox poll found: 69% of voters support birthright citizenship for children born in the United States to illegal immigrants.
Wow,
That surprised me.
That surprises me too.
And I wrote down this question to myself. Well, did that 69% of voters include illegals that were voting?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I would suspect it would.
I don't know. I don't know.
You know,
But in 2006, just 20 years ago, they asked that same question. It was 45%.
wow. I guess there's been a huge media campaign in support of birthright citizenship.
Yeah. John Woo, I don't know. He's a University of California, Berkeley law professor. Said he thought that they would believe Supreme Court would overrule Trump, but so did Trump. The better way to operate under the current constitutional rule of birthright citizenship is to more vigorously enforce visas and to shut down businesses that encourage and enable birth tourism. I think he's onto something.
Yeah, I think that'll happen.
And I think
probably.
Trump's doing that.
Yeah, I think that'll happen.
Get Tom Homan on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll probably happen.
But Trump rants about it a little bit. Said this was not meant for Chinese billionaires to have their children become citizens of our country. This was meant for other rich people, poor people. This was meant for the babies of slaves. True. I mean, that's what prompted the writing of it.
Right. And it's very clear.
Chinese and stuff and others.
It's very clear if you look at the debates at the time in the Senate that they did not mean it to be universal.
Let's talk to Sandy. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning. I was just looking and saw something from Solomon yesterday, and he says he wrote this yesterday. The Supreme Court is expected to rule on Tuesday on the challenge of Trump's executive order that seeks to restrict automatic birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment for children of illegal immigrants and temporary visa holders. In the event the court rules against Trump, a number of congressional Republicans have legislation pending that could practically accomplish what a different ruling would have done. So there still is hope for us. Brian Babin wrote, he's a Republican from Texas. American citizenship is a priceless privilege that must be protected, not exploited. We must restore integrity to our immigration system, uphold the rule of law, and protect the value of American citizenship for generations to come. My worry is always the Senate. And I think that Amy Coney Barrett is kind of a suck up to Roberts. That's just my view on her.
Well,
she's like a big disappointment. It's like she follows him, and I know this is conspiratorial thinking, but I keep wondering, does she think that by doing that in the future, maybe she'll become the Chief Justice?
I don't know, but
first woman, the Chief Justice. I don't know.
If you look,
I'm just angry with her because she does this.
Well, if you look at all her votes, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there are exceptions like this, but overall, she is pretty good. She's way better than the three leftist judges. And,
yes,
and
they just rule one way all the time.
And she tends to be better than Roberts, in my opinion. But she's not as good as Alito or Thomas, in my opinion. And both those are stellar. But Barrett is not quite as good as them, and she's not as bad as Roberts.
Okay, well, I'll trust you on that because you probably pay better attention than me.
Well, I mostly.
On that. It's just that the tariff thing was a really big deal, and this is a really big deal, and I just don't see how someone illegally in the country could have the same rights as somebody who's illegal, an American citizen.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right to me, and that historically that was written for the children of slaves.
Correct.
And so have you had a chance to read what Thomas wrote, or
I haven't read.
did any of them write a dissent?
I'm sure there is a
haven't-
dissent, and I don't know. It's very likely Thomas or Alito wrote it. That's my opinion. Probably Alito, I'm guessing, and it'll probably be an excellent read, but I haven't read it yet.
Well, I heard, and Russ, what you said, I can't remember it exactly. That's one of them, Thomas or something, wrote that in the future this may change.
That was Thomas.
That they may have made a bad decision, which I think they have.
Right, and that happens.
Yeah.
We look how long it took to overturn Roe v. Wade, which almost everyone agrees was a horrible decision. I mean,
Right.
So it happens.
But what this kind of decision does, it makes the problem grow greater.
Well, right.
And so it just makes the problem bigger and bigger and bigger, just like the tariff issue. Of course, they figured out ways to take care of that. I haven't seen what President Trump has written yet, but he may have.
Oh, it'll be out
He may
pretty
have
quickly.
written something. Yeah, he will. He will. He put down some big wins.
There have been some very large wins.
Right. Right.
This court is just way better than I think any other court since 1935.
They just upheld the transgender athlete ban in schools.
Okay, makes sense.
It was very good.
Right, and that's a big win.
Oh man,
because that was pretty destructive.
Yeah, it was. And that was a 6-3 decision anyway. I mean, also,
But still, those three,
Yeah.
three Democrats, I guess occasionally they do rule differently, but very occasionally.
We had Hamani, which was about marijuana and guns, the Second Amendment, and it was a 9-0 decision. It was a unanimous decision.
Is it just when do they rule that way when they think it doesn't matter to their party or something?
I think it depends a lot on who the defendants or the plaintiffs in the case are. So
okay.
I think that what conservatives should do is when they're setting up cases to challenge long-held precedent that they think is not constitutional, they should try to recruit Black Hispanic lesbians as the plaintiff or defendant. I'm not completely joking. In case,
I know you're not. I just had to laugh.
Yeah, I understand because it sounds silly.
I laugh at reality.
Yeah,
I laugh at reality sometimes.
Well, it makes sense, and I think that's what probably needs to happen, and I've seen it. There's a fellow who is licensed or has the license to practice before the Supreme Court named Mark Smith, who is excellent at pontificating on Second Amendment issues in the lower courts and the Supreme Court. And he says, look, you have to look at these things at how the justices look at them. And he says, you don't want nasty criminal defendants on your side. You want upstanding citizens, preferably minorities, that and then you can get better decisions. And he says it's just reality. We have to live with it.
Wow.
Well, could they have argued this birthright citizenship different? Have you studied it enough to know?
I think they could have, and I think one of the ways that it can be argued differently is if Congress passes a law defining how it works in a different way. And I think that's possible. I don't know if it'll happen, but that was mentioned earlier.
Really, a law could help define.
Well, because this was an executive order. It was just saying that doesn't have near the force of a law passed by Congress.
Okay, all right.
In my opinion,
right.
It's a law passed by Congress would be given greater leeway, I think, by the Supreme Court.
Because they would have to decide what would make that law unconstitutional.
Right. Exactly. So it's, when you only have the president deciding things by himself, that's an individual, when it goes through the congressional procedure to make a statute, it's the Congress and the president has to sign off, both houses at that.
don't you think that President Trump does this strategically, realizing that it
Oh,
may go through the
absolutely.
court
Absolutely. And I think,
and hoping that good decisions will be made?
and most of the time we've gotten good decisions.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a way of helping straighten out the country
Oh,
and make
absolutely.
the country better. Like this transgender in women's sports, these guys, they're harming girls
Oh,
in their
absolutely.
abilities to help themselves and physically and everything.
All
So
of that. And my specialty, you know, Second Amendment issues, we now have part of the Department of Justice that is suing cities that abuse, that don't, that infringe on Second Amendment rights. Like there's lawsuits
right,
against the sheriff's department in Los Angeles for not issuing permits. There's I think a lawsuit. I don't know if it's been issued yet, but they said they were going to issue a lawsuit against Colorado for infringing on Second Amendment rights. And so all of this is happening. It has not happened. There was I don't think there's been ever a lawsuit by the federal government to uphold Second Amendment rights until the Trump administration.
well, I think you were right in pointing out that President Trump follows the Constitution. A lot of people don't understand that. Where on the Democrat side, the reason that our federal government's suing these people is they're not following the Constitution.
Exactly
that-
correct.
Right.
And
Right. I
from
just hope we keep the power going. Republican power, I just hope, because I really think it's helping to straighten the country out.
yeah, Victor Davis Hanson calls it the counter revolution. You know,
Does, yeah.
Trumpian revolution is we're restoring the republic that has been tremendously degraded over the last 60 years. Or so.
Right.
Right. 60 years versus 4 or 8.
Well,
that's why we have to have more.
yeah, I agree. There's a lot to change. There's a lot to restore. And so I think, first off, we have to win the midterms. And then we have to elect a Trumpian next president in 28.
Yep. And we've got a lot of great
Right.
talent. to
There's
choose
a
from.
lot of talent out there.
Yeah.
Correct. And I love Vance and Marco Rubio.
Right. It'd be nice if they were on the same
Interesting if
ticket.
those-
Don't know if
yeah,
that's.
I'd love to have them on the same
And
ticket.
they're actually good friends.
But then
Yeah.
they need to find another Secretary of State as good as Rubio. I mean,
Well,
he has
he's-
really
Yeah.
done a great job there.
He's very impressive.
Well, Pete Buttigieg is available.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've got
That was the worst administration.
Oh, my
I can't
gosh.
imagine. It's almost like a comedic thing when you think about it, or
Yeah.
satire.
but very
The
sad.
choices, you could see that as a satire.
They did a huge amount of damage.
It was
to
like
the
a
country.
Star Wars bar scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Right,
terrible.
except the Star Wars characters were even better.
Yeah. It's
All
terrible.
right, well,
Thank you.
can't win them all, but dadgummit,
Yeah.
Well,
really, I just wish Coney Barrett and Roberts would do different. Roberts is the worst, you're right.
It wasn't.
And he's a Bush appointee.
It wasn't
I
a
don't
high
get him.
expectation of that going through, but
I know, and I don't know if that actually hurt because people kept saying that. Sometimes our
Yeah.
own side or people analyzing, gives them cover. They feel
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I can do it. See, they keep saying it's not going to work, so
Yeah,
I can just go ahead and do
I
it.
think you're right, Sandy.
I just wish they'd stop that kind of stuff. But they're going to do what they're going to do because that's how they make their money, the analysts. So.
they do. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, I'll let you guys go, and
All right.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
All right. The Supreme Court backs GOP challenge to campaign finance law. Supreme Court agreed with Vice President Vance that federal limits on how much political parties can spend in coordination with their candidates violate his First Amendment rights.
Oh,
Siding
interesting.
with Republicans on Tuesday in a campaign finance battle that became a tug of war.
So this is a free speech issue.
It is a free speech issue.
Yeah.
And it was still 6-3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And let me see the
See, because limits on how much you can spend
it takes it away.
tend to be in favor of the incumbents. because the incumbents have
More money.
franking privilege. They can
Yeah.
send out as much free mail as they want. They have name recognition.
That's always an advantage, but
Right.
still up to the voter.
Yeah,
But you're right.
right.
That's an advantage. I mean, you get your name out there, but as your name a good one.
Right.
Yeah. Because many people just don't run when they realize their poll numbers are down. The people don't like them. It doesn't matter how much money they have.
That happens.
Jeff Flake didn't run for that reason.
Well, right. But, what's the percentage of congressmen that get reelected? Very high, very high. I think it's way in the 90s.
Tremendously high. Let me see. Kavanaugh wrote for the majority. Whether the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, or other parties, all political parties and candidates going forward can compete equally under the same rule regarding coordinated expenditures, and can structure their fundraising, spending, and political speech on a level playing field as they see fit within the law. In 2001, the Supreme Court rejected a challenge, 5-4.
Yeah, a different court.
So 2 decades later,
Right.
Vance put that in as a senator representing Ohio and brought that new challenge. Former Representative Steve Chabot out of Ohio and the GOP Senate and House campaign arms, they argued that recent Supreme Court changes to the law and the rise of super PAC spending meant the precedent shouldn't survive. And super PACs are a big deal.
Yeah. And it's just a way to get around spending limits.
Right. And I think they cheat. They're not supposed to coordinate.
I
or
would
anything,
say, I'd say that's, there's huge incentives to cheat.
And there's a big, they suspect in a big way that foreign players and people that are not allowed to participate are sending money in through super PACs and smaller deals and all that kind of stuff.
If I were China or Iran or Russia or just about any place in the world that the United States policies affects, I would try to influence the elections in the U.S.
And that's being investigated.
Which is a good thing.
I haven't mentioned Iran once, so let's go into Iran. I might have mentioned it briefly, but I did in reference to prices of oil. But they're back in the talking again. Spent a couple days of eating bombs.
Yeah.
And I guess they've got their fill. And they said, let's talk again. But it's so weird to read this stuff because
it's like they're in an alternate reality.
Well, you read a report that they're going to meet, and then you read a report from Iran says that's a lie, we're not meeting. It's like, how do you deal with these people?
Well,
and I think it's intentional. I think the frustration and the bouncing around is to frustrate you.
Well, I think there's part of that. And I also think they're fractured. I don't think they have central command that's effective.
Yeah.
I think there
Both
are
probably
many
true.
different factions that are still vying for power. I don't think they have serious control over their cities. Unrest is probably growing. I see some evidence of that.
Witkoff and that's Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio. They briefed Congress on Iran ahead of this talk to go into Qatar or Qatar, whatever you want to say, and that's where they're going to meet, which I think is closer and more in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's closer than Afghanistan or Pakistan.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter where they go. That's the same thing. There's going to be hurt feelings and people rushing out, rushing in, not showing up, canceling, extending. I mean, it just seems like it's just the game.
I think that a lot of the negotiations on the part of Iran are simply trying to stop the Trump administration from enforcing the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. They're just trying to buy time.
But
it's not working.
The Strait of Hormuz is open, and you can tell it's open by one thing. Look at the price.
Price of oil.
Look at the price. The second that thing closes, it went right up to 110, 120.
Well, and what we've talked about earlier in U.S. oil production going up and Venezuelan oil production going up is that over time, it becomes less and less and less critical.
Right. And pretty soon it's going to be, we don't need you.
Yeah. Well, you bumped the price up $10 a barrel. Well, you can't keep it up forever.
Well, they briefed Congress, and according to Republican Steve Daines, who talked to reporters afterwards, said the administration kept its remarks to a minimum, but nonetheless described the conversation as constructive. Now, Chuck
Yeah.
Schumer had a comment. The briefing deficient and devoid of details. After dragging America into a costly war, the Trump administration still can't name a single thing America's got in return. Instead, Secretary Rubio confirmed to me that Iran will reap billions in oil revenues and retaining dangerous leverage over the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, notice how he doesn't talk about their nuclear program at all.
No, I don't. Just it's a war that it's Trump's war and it's terrible and all that stuff. Yeah,
Well,
doesn't it get old? Does it get old to you? I mean, I read the Chuck Schumer and I'm like, oh no, I know what that is. It's just
what's funny is even though he does all this stuff, he's
Yeah.
not popular among Democrats.
no, and he backed Biden no matter what, and
Yeah,
lied about Biden's whether or not he
Yeah,
was even
he's,
awake.
I'm not a fan
Conscious.
of Chuck Schumer.
No. I get tired of the lies and the hypocrites. And what should I say that's good for the party versus reality?
Or yeah,
It's like dealing with Iran.
or for his individual ability to hang on to
Yeah.
power. I mean, I think he's going to have a primary challenge. Did he have a primary? He's not running this year, I guess.
I don't
So
know.
when's the primary come up for him?
I don't know. It's not this year. It would have been
Right, might be
been in
next.
the news.
It might be 2 years from now. 28 possible. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. He's a senator, so he only runs every 6 years. So, but I strongly suspect there will be a primary challenge to him.
The technical talks about the dealers continue today, according to officials. Officials said technical talks are slated to continue this week, and they're going to be there. Then they interviewed Iranian foreign minister spokesman Baghi, whatever that is. He denied any meetings for the U.S. were scheduled.
Well, this just goes
what
to
is this?
confirm
This
the
is
idea we had that
crazy.
actual talks with Iran under the current situation are just don't really accomplish much.
Yeah.
But if they keep the Strait of Hormuz open, well, doesn't matter.
Well, Trump says that that Iran's denuclearization meeting is set for today. He called it a denuclearization meeting, not a technical meeting.
Right.
Trump says oil prices are on the way down. They will be meeting on that tomorrow. I think they've already left and they're just about getting ready to leave. Well, see how that goes. But we're doing very well on that front. The meeting in Doha is going to be perhaps important, perhaps not. We're going to find out. If the denuclearization of Iran, we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, and they are not going to have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
Yeah, I suspect there is some Iranian official somewhere who did agree to that, at least initially.
Yeah, but I can't help but think, even if they did agree, tomorrow they're not going to.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
And what this shows is how unreliable, Iran is.
Well, I read something the other day that you remember Obama did a deal with him, a nuclear deal that was absolute trash.
Horrible.
But I didn't realize that they were talking and all that. It took 18 months to hammer it out. I think they just wore him out and he said, fine, whatever you want, just let's do it.
Maybe. I'm not a big fan of Obama.
No.
And I have a lot of questions about what his intentions really were.
I think, right, we don't know. But I think Trump is going to do what's right and he doesn't care.
Right.
I think he's going to do it.
I think so.
And if that means that those military ships are docked over there for the next 2 years, that's where they're going to be.
I think we're going to keep at least one aircraft carrier group in the area for the rest of the Trump presidency.
And
it's possible
I think
that 6 months into the after the midterms, Iran just says, okay, we give up. We now have a regime that's going to negotiate with the U.S. in good faith, and we're not going to develop any more military stuff or nuclear stuff.
I think the Space Force needs to keep a close eye on all of the military installations.
Of course.
And about every 2 months, just go bomb the ones they rebuilt.
Well, yes. And that's part of this process I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Just go in every 2 months and say, well, you sneaky guys, I see you brought in some more.
Yeah, or you look at, oh, you're bringing in stuff through the Caspian Sea or from the railroad from China. Well, we're going to
since-
blast that.
And since we're still in negotiations, we're going to blast that.
Yeah.
So we have a deal.
Right.
Yeah. So keep them from building them up as much as they did. I mean, what they did for 10 days between Israel and the United States.
What
well,
we
it was even
found
more
out is they
crazy.
were kind of, because of the increases in our capabilities, especially against anti-aircraft installations, we found out they're pretty much paper tiger. You know, they can't defend their installations. They cannot. And we have air supremacy, and we're going to continue to have air supremacy.
That's correct. But I wouldn't call them a paper tiger because they actually had some of the most modern equipment that Russia and China had to offer.
Oh, absolutely.
That they had,
but we found out it
art.
was not very effective.
Well, the military guys that were talking about it afterwards says, no, it's a great piece of equipment. We're just that much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's important. That
Yeah.
distinction is important.
And here's something I read about China. Now, China has a copy of the F-35 or the F-22 even.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's right. They built something that looks almost just like one.
Right. And apparently it, according to them, it completely stealth. And it talked about, this article talked about this engineer that rose up through the ranks, a hotshot that has disappeared now. He's gone.
Oh.
They don't know where. But he's been scrubbed of any reference that he does, like he never existed. And he was a guy that ran the aerospace program for the last few decades.
Oh, in China?
In China. Last few decades, he was running the program, and he made these huge advances with the F-22 replica.
Okay.
And then started working on radar, and the radar that could read the F-22s, that they could see them.
Okay.
And they did all these high fives just a few years ago.
Right.
That they could actually pick out 7 or 8 F-22s flying, and they said it works. And that's the radar that they sent to China, and they sent to
Iran
and
maybe
Kuwait,
Venezuela
and all that stuff, because it's radar that F-22s can't hide from. Well, obviously when we took over Venezuela, it didn't work. I mean, they were able to get around it and all that stuff, and it didn't work in Iran. It did.
So you're saying the guy headed up this program has disappeared?
What they found out was that their programs don't work. They found out that this guy had money interest in handpicked the guy doing the work and doing the radar and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's common in China.
And when the radar picked up 7 F-22s, they were actually Chinese fake F-22s.
Oh, ouch.
And it was done intentionally so that they could get the contracts.
Oh.
But the system never worked.
Wow. Wow.
And now how much of that is completely true, I don't know.
I don't know, because getting solid information out of China is very difficult.
Well, and I think this is reading the tea leaves of what's going on. I mean, this guy's disappearing, and apparently he was some kind of brilliant hotshot that was running all the departments.
Yeah, but I mean, what does this do to morale underneath?
They gave him ultimate power to pick the contractors, and apparently whistleblowers would come forward and say it's not working. They got rid of them.
Yeah.
Those guys disappeared.
Wow. Well, no system is perfect.
No.
But I think our system works better.
Yes.
I mean, I worked for my whole career in military research, development, test, and evaluation. And yes, we spent a lot of money that we probably didn't have to, but the results were pretty good. I mean, overall, I think our system works pretty well. I think we can do things cheaper, and that Trump administration is working hard to do that more efficiently. But overall, I think the system works well, and that when we tested something, we actually tested it. Now, there have been failures. I forget the exact programs, but there have been failures where the books were cooked, but they're rare exceptions, I believe.
Let me read what artificial intelligence says about this. And Venezuela's military was heavily invested in Chinese manufactured radar systems, most notably the JY-27A anti-stealth radar. These mobile long-range anti-surveillance systems were purchased from Beijing to detect advanced U.S. stealth aircraft and were integrated with Russian-supplied air defense systems around Caracas and key military sites. Advertised capabilities. State-owned China Electronics Technology Group Corp marketed the JY-27A as capable of detecting low-observing stealth jets like F-22, F-35s from nearly 400 kilometers away. Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
While resisting electronic jamming. Real-world performance. During the U.S. military operation in Caracas, these Chinese-supplied radars failed to provide effective warning. The failure was attributed to various factors, including advanced electronic warfare, jamming, and potential lack of maintenance. Operational impact. The rapid neutralization of Venezuela's radar and air defense communication left the country effectively blind, allowing U.S. aircraft and special operations force to navigate freely. But this system, from what I read earlier, like a week ago, never did work. And
That's bad. I mean, well, it's bad for the Chinese. It's good for us. But the more,
but I don't know if it's true.
The more that I read about the Chinese military, the more that I believe that it's a very corrupt system. You get promoted because you buy the promotion. That's not a good way to run a military.
No.
And but it fits in with Chinese culture. That's the way promotions worked in China for a very long time before the communists. And what would happen is that a general would buy his generalship, and then the amount of money he got depended on a large part on how much he could extract money and not have it go to troops. He'd get so much money per troops, and if he could keep those troops or pretend to keep them or whatever, and then pocket the rest, he got richer and richer. And I think that something kind of like that is still in place in China today, and it's not a good way to run a military. And that, I think, corruption in the United States military is at a tremendously lower level, much, much lower level. For one thing, there's a lot of whistleblowers. You have people, first, you take an oath as a somebody in a military academy or any military officer to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. And in America, I think a large number, maybe most officers take that very seriously. And then the troops below them take oaths as well. It's not quite as broad as the officer's oath. But if you have real problems in a program that look like corruption is going on, people will blow whistles. I had a friend of mine, and this is a long time ago, 30 years ago, and he was he worked in out of Human Proving Ground at RDT&E, and there was a big program going on that he was partially supervising, and he said they're fudging the numbers on this, and he resigned his commission in protest to stop that, and it stopped. But he was no longer had a career in the military, but he was willing to sacrifice his career in order to stop the corruption.
Yeah, the Osprey had problems.
This was a different program.
Yeah, I mean, there have been programs in the United States where
I didn't want to mention the particular program because I've lost track of my friend. I'm not sure what he's doing now.
That was a Marine program. I mean, that was
the Osprey was Marines.
Yeah, that was them.
That's correct. Or as I was talking about a program from YPG.
Yeah, I was going to ask you details.
Okay.
I wasn't going to do.
Well, you said Osprey.
Well, no, I said they had programs.
They did
also, but that was very well.
Now
that was very visible because 20 people died or something.
I'd argue that the Osprey program was not as much corruption, in my opinion, because I've read about it, and I think the commander was made to be a scapegoat in that case.
Well, I don't think corruption was accused as much as fudging to make it look better than it was.
Well, and that's a form of corruption, but
I mean, they weren't collecting profits.
From what I understand is that basically he was ordered to do this from higher up.
Yeah, we don't want to hear about any failures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
and that's a
Well, then
problem.
none exist.
But in my experience, I've had extensive experience. I think people inside the RDT and any system are generally honest.
Yeah.
And you in any system where there's a lot of money involved, you have a strong potential for corruption.
Yeah. Well, I think this was just about marine pride and making sure it works.
Oh, a lot
and
of
getting in
that,
on that
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. I don't
Sure.
think it was money. At least it never was accused of that.
No, it was institutional pressures to succeed, or at least
absolutely.
show success.
I agree. Well, thanks you, Dean, for coming in. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. Mortgage One Studios with Russ Clark.